Morning, all. Hope everybody's doing well, having a good day. Happy Friday to everybody. We got Adam here. Aspen Conner, as you know.
Hey.
Adam.
How's everyone doing this morning?
Hold on one second. Let's just jump to that. My AirPods, of course, want to play games and jump from here to my phone. We're good now.
Yeah, I have to keep mine on the other side of my condo, so they don't try to pick up my iPad.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. Yeah. Nope. Nope, you're silent. I didn't mess everything up, I promise everyone.
Yes, no?
Yes.
You got me now.
Yeah, I got you now.
I don't know what just happened. My AirPods went to my phone, messed everything up, but we're good now. All right.
That was probably Sonny messing with us.
Yeah, maybe Sonny jumped in backstage and wants to throw a little zonk at me for having you on, He's been busting chops last night saying I wasn't going to make it on time, blah, blah, blah. I'm here.
And I think she was saying I wasn't going to make it on time.
Oh, is that what she was saying?
Yeah.
Oh. So what do you think of, I know you've been following it. What do you think of the whole Moscow, Idaho murders? What are you feeling on it?
I mean, having followed Delphi so closely, to look at like the Idaho case, it's like I didn't think there could be a case like that's immediately so layered and so complex. But this Idaho case has me baffled. I mean, every time I try to think of a scenario, I think of 5 more.
Yeah, I know it's and law enforcement's taking a beating, for. Yeah. And I get it. They're walking back on things that they said and whatnot, but that crime scene, as you saw, it took them like a week to process it correctly. That's how much evidence is in there.
I mean, I can't even imagine the uphill battle that law enforcement has in this case, and I really do have compassion for them, because I mean, it's a small town. I mean, they're not used to things like no police department is going to be used to things like this. I'm sure even in the NYPD, a quadruple homicide is going to stand out at least a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing is they try and get you used to seeing things, but this is different. These are young kids. You're talking about being butchered. I mean, this is gruesome. And you're looking for that one piece. Say they couldn't find what they're looking for, and that's why they're going to door jams. They're going everywhere.
Yeah.
And you just hope that they get what they need.
Right. And I know from my own experience, like, I mean, I think most people would probably agree with this, is, I don't think you have a wider social network at any point in your life than you do when you're that age.
True. It's true.
Not only is your pattern not quite as routine, your the people you're surrounding yourself with are at a much broader range.
Yeah. I mean, it's college, man. You're hanging out with everybody,
Yeah.
It's just about having a good time and stuff, not thinking that this is going to happen,
Yeah.
And also, your trust gets put, your trust and whatnot, and fear of other people, it comes down a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, in my experience, was, way before social media. So, I mean, that adds that whole other layer to it all, where, I think their social network was much bigger and broader than, yours or mine.
Yeah, no, it's true. Different world today. I mean, different world 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I'm a late 90s kid, and, college wise, and totally different era.
Yeah.
I bartended in a college bar back then. It was a great time, but just totally different at the connections that are made now with the internet.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
How far-reaching it is. So what do you think of the families that have been talking, the Goncalves family and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, of course, my heart's broken for those families, and then to see that they're some of them are getting speculation and doubt put on them, and they're getting criticized. I mean, that's sad to me. I know I've seen stuff about Xana's parents. I've seen negative things about the parenting style of Kaylee. It's just things that I'm like, that's unnecessary.
Unnecessary. It is. It is. That doesn't seem like it plays into what happened that night.
No.
But there's people out there that are going to pick at everything. That's just what they did. Like we saw with Delphi, how they blamed the families for almost 6 years, and there's still people out there doing it, even though somebody's arrested already.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. That is the sad part.
Well, I think even like your guest the other day, Jeremy Reagan, had said I thought it was a good point too. He said by giving his DNA the other day, he thought it would clear up. He was asked, do you think it'll clear up some of the suspicion against you? And he said that he thinks it will, but he said it's out there, and he said that there'll always be a handful of people that are gonna even if after there's an arrest and even after this is solved, that are gonna still be like, no, I bet it was that guy.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm paraphrasing, but
yeah, no, I mean that's the keyboard warriors. They're gonna keep going at him no matter what, and that's why I had him on. I spoke to him for a while Monday night, and just felt that he needed a platform to talk more than clippings that the media uses, and that's the whole thing. They, I know I don't know if you saw Ken Maines, the detective, retired detective. He went on Banfield the other night, 2 nights ago. And it's kind of like his segment got cut off because he wasn't saying what they wanted to hear.
Oh, and then he did a stream about it. I did not. Yeah. I watched the Banfield clip and then I watched a little bit of his stream, but I didn't get.
I was sent it yesterday. I was sent the segment from Banfield, and that's the whole thing. That they fear sells, man. They want to hear certain things. They want you to say, oh, it's a rage killing, so it's somebody that's a boyfriend or whatnot. He is right when he says you don't fully know. You don't. If the murder weapon's a knife, unless you have one, unless you're seeing certain things happening in each of the rooms. You're seeing certain way 3 people are, and then you have one that's just butchered. Then you're gonna know that's your target, you know what I'm saying? But until then, you just don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, every time I try to present myself, a workable theory that sounds logical or makes sense, or could be, I can then think of the complete other side of the coin of it and disprove it, or I can then go down 5 other rabbit holes, just really briefly, I'll be to me. I've gone back and forth in my head trying to think, if it was one of the students targeted, if it was more of a rage-filled thing, and I can't come to that conclusive decision. But we also don't have the evidence that law enforcement has. They're going to know if there was one of those victims, like you said, that would suffer a different type of brutality.
Could it be that Kaylee's dad is kind of hinting towards that the last few days? It could be possible. That's, since the Good Morning America clip, I mean, yeah, it could be, but we just don't know.
He did one this morning on NBC.
Oh, he's on again?
Yeah, he did an interview with NBC this morning. He discussed that a little bit again.
What did he say? Anything different?
Not really. He did express a little bit more frustration, just about kind of feeling like they know, certain things, but then not knowing what they can and can't say, and just being honest about the fact that he's abided by everything they've asked him to do, but then he doesn't feel like he always gets everything in return, which he said he understands, but I'm sure as a father, that would be impossible.
That's got to be the worst feeling in the world, that you're not getting the answers and other people have them.
Right.
They know more than you, and they're not able to give it to you, which is tough.
One of the statements he made, I don't know, I don't remember which interview it was in, but that stood out to me was when he said, it's hard as a father, and I'm not a father, so I don't know fully, but I know you can probably relate. It's hard as a father to turn that trust over to other men or women.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
When
I could relate to that. I could relate to that. You want answers, and you're not getting them. It's tough.
Right, and then I just think of the other families, and I mean, it's one of those situations where you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, because I know Maddie's family hasn't spoken quite as much. Her father at the vigil was the first time I'd ever seen him speak, and we're not hearing as much from like Xana's parents, so then they get criticized for that, and then if they go on too much, they get criticized for that. So
I did see that. I don't know if you saw Ethan's older stepbrother, half brother. It's his brother from the father's first marriage. He's verified on Reddit now, and he said some really nice words about Xana.
Okay.
That they spent a couple weeks together. I guess Xana came to the summer house over the summer for a couple weeks and was playing with their little son, stuff like that. How nice she was and whatnot. It's tough, man. Some people don't want to. I mean, you got to remember something. This happened only a few weeks ago. Some people are so distraught they can't even talk about it. How do you like go on the news and talk about what happened to your kid when you don't even know everything about it? It's not easy, And I know there's other stuff that could be attached to her mom and stuff. We got to see if that's a definite or not. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that it's important to always know. You never want something like this to happen to someone that you love, but you also don't get to pick when it happens. So we have to think these people were all going about their lives, just doing their normal day-to-day things. Some of them are in different places in their life than others. And we saw this in Delphi as far as, if you looked at the background of one of the victims' biological parents, they, we're not all in the same place in life at the same time. So I think to then just attack and criticize, the families is so unnecessary.
It's brutal. It's somebody trying to make a name for themselves to attack them.
Yeah. And the news jumps too. And social media even worse. That's why I have a love.
Well, our favorite, I'll say our favorite retired FBI agent tweeted about it the other day. I don't know if you saw it. She put that piece in there about Xana's mother.
She's been on she's been on News Nation along with our favorite paralegal. I'm sorry, I mean PI.
Oh, the what's his name? I don't even know. I don't even remember his name. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Ron Logan.
Both of them have been on News Nation.
Yeah, Ron Logan. Yeah, all right. Scary stuff, man. It's really scary.
Yeah.
But they give anybody a platform, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got nothing to say to them. I wouldn't waste my time.
So you're probably more on Reddit than I am. Like to me, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with Reddit because I can go down a rabbit hole on Reddit, and then the next thing I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy might be green.
You have to go on Reddit with the knowing what you're doing there. I'm really only on Reddit because of Delphi Docs. I help mod for that.
Yeah.
I was never on Reddit before that.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even really know much what the hell Reddit was. I've heard about it, but I never knew what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting what people put up there.
100%.
Sudden logic, yes, that's very true.
And something else that I is like I was watching a retired NYPD homicide investigator. I think it was on Fox Now or something this morning. And he was discussing, which I thought was a good point, that he wasn't trying to, allude to there being something there. But, as an investigator, one of the first, I know that, it's natural to look at the people closest to the victims. it's natural to look into the behaviors of the victims. And, even if you're looking at, partying or, if, someone had done drugs or something like that, it's not indicative of their entire lifestyle. It could just be indicative of that age. And that's not, to attack any of the victims or blame anyone for anything, but that it's just a natural part of the investigation.
Yeah, it's the victimology and you go through each person, and just see, what was going on in their life and whatnot, connections and that kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely. I wonder if law enforcement or detectives even have a big POI that they're looking at. I mean, listen, I'm sure they're looking at certain people, but as of the other day, even the reports that are coming out with, is it targeted, is it not targeted? I don't know if they really have anybody, set in mind right now. It's they're kind of confused. It's kind of confusing statements coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the prosecutor's office saying one thing, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts as far as, having been, a detective and or being in the NYPD, because I've heard different things about, would the police come out and say they have no suspects if they really did? Like
Depends.
if they they have someone in their mind.
It depends. Each case, it depends. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's times where you're going to say you have somebody, and there's like that you're watching them. You want that person to move around and stuff. It's really case by case.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay. And would it be normal to say someone was cleared just to give them the ease of mind, even if you were still looking into them, or no?
As fast as I mean, listen, there's times where you might say that, but I don't think that they're just saying that about the boyfriend. I know what you mean, because a lot of people are saying, oh, they cleared him, but they're still looking at him. I mean, could it be possible? You never know.
Right.
You never know what the FBI is telling them to do.
Yeah.
It really depends.
Yeah, because I even watched a video on they were completely sure that the law enforcement has told the family of Kaylee to stand behind the boyfriend 1,000%, but that it's to get him to play into this false sense of security. And I'm like, I'm sure that's, I know it's been done in a case. I was watching a press conference earlier where the police did do that. But I just was like, that to me was a little bit more outlandish than I'm ready to jump down.
There's strange stuff, man. I don't think that they said anything to the family about not saying anything. And also, remember, he was pretty mad that they didn't talk to him since Wednesday before Thanksgiving. For like 5 days, there was no contact. So I don't think there's nobody in between them saying, say this.
Yeah.
I think they're just saying they're saying their feelings,
Yeah. I mean, I even saw people, because I think the boyfriend's been, Kaylee's boyfriend is who we're referring to, or ex-boyfriend, I guess. But, people are even going as far as to be like, oh, he had lighter hair and then it looks darker now. And I'm like,
he changed his hair.
He didn't actually. It was just a dark picture.
I know. But wasn't he in the sun though too with the dog?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get a different reflection.
Because then I saw him. It was the same day in a different frame. His hair looked just as reddish brown as it did normal. I mean, of course,
people
he doesn't look 16 anymore, but that's because he's not.
Yeah, it's true. I still want to know things like what lights were on in the house, where the doors closed to the bedrooms, and I believe they know the order of the killings based on blood transfer. I would hope that they know something by now with everything they got from the scene.
Well, I mean,
lights on in the house, I don't think we're ever going to know because there's just not many cameras in the area or anybody really paying attention.
Yeah.
Doors close to the bedroom, I think we will eventually find that out.
Well, did you see Daily Mail this morning posted pictures from inside the house?
No, which ones? Which pics? The ones with the cabinet?
No, they're like 21 pictures they posted from inside the house, and they showed both the bedroom doors on the first floor shut. I don't know where they got them. I don't know if they're legit. Someone had just sent them to me about 5 minutes before we came on.
Well, I mean, I think it was a day after somebody flew a drone right
Yeah, I
over. So
saw that.
maybe they did something with the drone footage and zoomed in. I don't really know. I mean, it could be possible. You
Right.
know.
I think with the lights, to me, yeah, we'll never know. Like you said, I don't know if you and I were discussing it or if I was just discussing it with someone else, but like I was, it's been speculated, I think, from a lot of people that the killer may have came in and out of that back sliding door, um, and they have those string lights that are hanging in the back patio that
Yeah.
have been on every night, like in any of the news footage I've watched. Um, and so they were saying, "Oh, I think the police turned them on and left them on." And I was like, "Well, I don't know if the police would turn them on, but maybe
Yeah.
they just were on." But
It
then
could have been
some,
just on.
that
Yeah.
could have provided a little bit of light in that back area of the house. But then if you look at any of the video footage now as well, those bar stools are wedged into that door. So I'm like,
Yeah.
were they like that then? And the back patio really wasn't the entrance and exit, or was that done after the fact just to secure the scene? If that door was broke, if the latch was broken or something.
I mean, it could be because the latch was broken or something. I don't really know.
Yeah.
If that's the let's put it that way. If the latch was broken and that's the way the killer got in, that really sucks. That's really brutal. You know,
Right.
could have another way have been found? Yeah, always could be. But at the same time, that really is horrible.
Yeah. I always go back to that. Because most of the things that I've read, whether they're true or not, I don't. It's speculation, but that I mean, I think the back entrance makes a lot more sense if I put myself, which I don't want to put myself in the killer's shoes, but if you put yourself in that mindset, and I'm going to enter a house at 3 something in the morning, am I going to go around the front where there's lights and there's a keypad that I'm
And,
assuming
and and but think about
put
this:
you into
people could be walking up that path from all the way down the bottom,
right,
and see somebody, wandering around.
right,
Not that they're going to know that at that time something is going on, but you'll know next day after finding out.
right. Yeah, for most of us could say, there aren't a lot of people walking around our neighborhoods at 3 in the morning, but I mean, it's a college
Mm.
town. You're, and so, and like I said, I think that front door, the keypad, wouldn't that have a footprint? Can't you get data off of that?
I believe you could get data off the last time it was used and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the problem with those keypad locks is they're easily able to be manipulated.
Oh,
You
sure.
know, they're not the best thing for security.
That's
You
what I have.
know,
That's what I have on my condo door.
do you? You better change it. You better
I don't,
change that.
I've only given like 20 people the
You
number.
you better go to that hardware store and get a new lock. Listen, those are good for like rental properties, for like
Yeah.
weekly rentals or stuff. I don't know. Usually like Airbnbs, they have cameras at the front door and stuff, making
Yeah.
sure who's going in and whatnot. I don't think they're great for what this was for. You have no idea how many kids knew the code. You
No, it
know.
was, absolutely. We know it was kind of a party house, or they had
Yeah.
gatherings. But
Yeah.
yeah. If you can get all the way up to my condo door, my building's kind of like Fort Knox. So if you get all the way up here,
Good
you
luck.
probably you probably deserve to get in the door.
You would deserve to get in. Oh boy. Oh boy. Did I miss this? Does anyone know why the second bedroom on floor 2 was empty? Then I had emerged particular. Well, floor 2. Oh, that floor 2 was that seems to be the sixth person.
Yeah, floor 2 is like the main living area of the house. It's where the kitchen was. It's where the living room was.
Yeah.
If you're facing the street here, I believe that Xana's bedroom was, when you walk up the stairs, it was directly to the far right, and then the kitchen was to the back, and then that 6th bedroom would have been in the back left corner of the house, next
We
to the
think that
staircase
that sixth bedroom that was totally vacant, right? That's probably the sixth person.
that we know. Yeah, that's the bedroom that would have the screen missing. If you've seen that stuff from the back of the house,
Yeah.
that would be that window to that bedroom,
Yeah. That's true.
which
That
could have
makes
been
sense.
an entry point.
True. Especially if somebody that knew them and they couldn't get in and they're trying to, get a screen down, you're going to go where nobody stays.
Right. And I've heard that screen was down prior to the murders, but Maybe Richard Allen, he needed that little cinder block that's right under the window to climb up on so he could get in the window.
Yeah, the one right near the barbecue. I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
If you're 5'4", you have to get on that little cinder block to climb in.
I guess you need a little boost, a little jump up, a little boost.
Sorry, it's not funny.
No, it's not funny. I listen. Sometimes you gotta have a little bit of humor. It's just the way it goes. I've seen some things where if you don't put a little humor in it, you're gonna lose your mind.
Yeah.
Thanks, Miss Dog Lover. Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Hey,
when I was at uni, what was that say? When I was at uni at our student house, landlord couldn't care less about security. We had a ladder holding the back door shut in a dodgy area of England. I mean, that's pretty horrifying.
Right.
It's pretty scary.
Well, I grew up in a small town in the rural Midwest. I mean, when my parents sold our house, we didn't have keys to give the new owners. So I grew up in somewhere where no one locked their doors. You slept with the windows wide open.
I mean that was
like
it was like that in the 80s. From having kids, man, every window's locked. I don't care what at nighttime. I could care less. Put the air conditioning on. I don't care what temperature. Nope. There's no chance with that with me. No way.
You remember back when they would put the metallic fire department stickers in the
kids. The kids are right here.
So you could advertise. Here's my child. They're in this room with this window.
Yeah. Very true. And I got my security right. I'm waiting for her to jump up. She got a toy. If you hear her, come on, get out of here. She's tapping around the room. My dog.
Well, hey, that's a good segue. What are your thoughts on the dog? Because I have not met this dog, but people seem to be obsessed with this dog.
Yeah, that's just because you think of any dog, and you're sleeping. It's 3 a.m. right, and your dogs. That's their time to really. They're really, even if they're not like a protection dog, they're paying attention to what's going on. You're hearing some kind of. Usually, they're going to alert to a noise. Was there? So people are speculating that the dog didn't bark. We don't know if the dog barked. We don't know because early on there was rumors that the girls downstairs, surviving girls, heard something and they both supposedly locked their doors. That was the rumor early on. Was it the dog barking a little differently and they were nervous and they're like, screw it, locked our door and went back to sleep? That could be possible. But yeah, I mean, it is insane the amount people are focusing on the dog. Right. So people going like to well, the dog's temperament is this way,
Oh, I saw someone was calling vets in that area to see if the dog had been microchipped, so they could probably maybe find out if the dog had been run out of the house, where the dog was. And I'm like, wow.
What is a microchip gonna? The microchips don't. There's no documentation on a microchip dog every 3 minutes where they move to. A microchip is only if the dog's found. They want it to see who their owner is.
Yeah, and they have to remove it to get that.
It's a little different than like a GPS collar. I mean, that's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, a lot is being played on the dog. It's pretty wild.
I've heard it speculated that the dog was the dog wasn't actually even, with Kaylee and Madison. That the dog was really on the first floor with one of the surviving roommates because they got home earlier and they.
That's what I said because that's what I felt. I mean that does make sense.
I don't think the dog was out running the streets. I don't think that the dog went running out of. I think the dog was in one of the bedrooms, and to me,
I think that was just a rumor because somebody's trying to make it fit.
Right.
Because they all think the dog didn't bark. We don't know if the dog barked. We have no idea.
Plus, we all know, now that we know that, Kaylee and Maddie were sleeping in the same bed. I mean, anyone that's I don't know what size of bed that was, of course, but anyone that tried to sleep with two people in a bed with a relatively large dog, there's not a ton of room. So it would make sense that the dog could have
throw a dog and a 2-year-old that jumps in the middle. And
right.
Yeah. You got inches, man.
3 of them in there sometimes.
You're sideways like this. I hope I don't fall off, Oh yeah.
You look over and your wife's got half the bed and then
that's the way it's always been in my life. That's just the way it is, The little ones are always on my arm, not hers. She's got half the bed and I'm just I'm just holding on.
I don't believe that. Cold Truth's not young. Cold Truth's not old enough to have a 17-year-old or anyone older.
You're right. Cold Truth doesn't look like she'd have 17-year-old, but we never know. You never know.
About 20.
Petting the dog now. There you go. You're petting the dog. I call my senior girl Pity Patty because her walk is like a prance and she ticks on the floor. Yeah. This one, I would never be able to call this dog Pity Patty. She's doing circles right now. When she hears me talking, it's like she gets amped up. Just the way it is. Labradoodles are known to be very friendly. Yeah, they are. My wife's cousin has one, and I'm going to have to see it on Christmas. Yeah. You know those people that are just like, the dog could be everywhere you are? It's too much.
I think animals also adapt to their owner's lifestyle and personality. I had a cat when I was 18 years old, and that cat lived till I was 39 when she died. And
so your cat lived to 20 plus?
Yeah, and I'm thinking how I kept that cat alive for the first 10 years that she was alive through my 20s. No idea. I'd go work 12 hours and then go out for another 6 hours at night, or I'd go on vacation for a week and just be like, see ya.
That's what probably kept her alive. She was eating sparingly.
But she was chill and
she wasn't overeating.
So if this dog was used to maybe going back and forth with the boyfriend girl, between the ex-boyfriend and her house, and it would adapt to her lifestyle. That's true. If it was a party house and they had people over a lot, it might not be as alerted to noises upstairs.
We don't know if it maybe slept in a crate. We have no idea.
Exactly.
It could be in one of the rooms locked in a crate. We just don't know. Or the girls were, maybe the girls downstairs didn't see the dog a couple weeks. They took the dog with them. Too many things that you can't focus on a dog like that.
Right. I'm sure some YouTuber will go out there and say the dog was the murderer.
Well,
Murray was the killer.
I'll tell you, you read some comments even on newspaper and stuff, and people are like, is it a murder /S? And I'm like, wait, did somebody really just they're looking for the murder weapon, but you're trying to say label it as a murder S?
We talked about that the day of the press conference.
Where are we? This is crazy. It's just it's crazy.
You put out that great video of the most important questions you thought had been asked at that one press conference. And, and I was and I had mentioned it on a different live, and I was like, oh, I hope they're the same ones I just said, and they were. Yeah,
they were the student questions. They were the best questions. They were the best questions asked.
But the dumbest question was, that person that and that was a week and a half into the case, or 2 weeks into the case, and she's like, hi, I'm from Fox News. Is this possible? This was a murder S.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then the gun got up, or the knife got up and floated away.
It makes zero sense, but that's how crazy their people are. That's just how crazy people are.
Did you ever deal with guys? Did you ever deal with people like that when you were like in actual law enforcement that would be like, whoa,
yes,
wow.
Wait,
or reporters, anything?
No. How about one of my bosses on one of my jobs? He comes in and he was training one of the rookies, right? So it was an S case.
Yeah.
And I was the first one there. I actually drew down on the son coming out of the house. It was, heard a gunshot in the house. As I pulled up, I was the only one there. He came out and you could see he's very amped up. He's amped up, So I don't know what happened in the house. I drew down on him. I cuffed him. I said, listen, it's for your safety. Put him in the car, go inside. So I'm checking on the guy and I'm going, man, I don't like how that gun fell. I really didn't like it. I tell you, I did not like it. And so the sergeant comes with one of the rookies and he's like, yeah, look over here, right there. And he's aiming at the ceiling and he's like, yeah, there it is. That the bullet went out his head and it's in the ceiling. And I'm going, what the? I go, I raise my hand. I'm like, come here. He's like, what's up? I go, the bullet's sticking out of his skull. It's still there. He goes, oh. I goes, what the hell is that? I go, Look around. They're running surround sound. There were holes everywhere to run like surround sound speakers. They just didn't snake the But that's how crazy. Like he didn't even look at the scene. He goes straight to like it's this. But
Oh,
we got an exit wound into the ceiling. I'm like, oh my god. But
I would
yeah,
have bought
that
him a Where's Waldo book for Christmas.
that was a case that really bothered me and never got pushed any further. The kid, insurance money. It was a beautiful home, insurance money. Kid's driving a Hummer. 3 months after his dad,
Oh,
made no sense.
so
Father
the,
was a
was it the Murdochs?
psychiatrist.
Was it the
Father
Murdoch
was a
case?
Listen, you hear me? Father was a psychiatrist. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's very rare for somebody that is in that field to that's their ending. Some
Yeah.
really twisted shit. Sleuth's in the house.
Hey, Sleuth.
Sleuth, what's up, man?
I stumbled across Sleuth having a late night party the other night, like 4. It was like 4 in the morning by the time they were done.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow, he's going the distance.
We weren't invited, CD.
Let me tell you something. Was it 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, I passed out at 8 o'clock.
AM?
Sometimes I lay down with my little guy, and he basically puts me to sleep.
He's like your melatonin.
Oh, he is. He shuts me down, man. He's so cute. He says yes now. He's like yes. The way he says it is like his yes has changed. It's adorable, man. Really.
I will say CD makes some. You and your wife make some cute kids.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think it's mostly
I'm gonna be. Yeah. Well, I give her credit. Like I get, the little one is her clone. He's got the blonde hair. Yeah, he's got the blonde hair. It's so crazy, so cute. But I'm gonna be watching my kids, very closely in time. Gotta watch them close. Listen, and the whole thing is they're at the age now where you worry about, social media. They're they're getting on TikTok. It freaks you out, My daughter's gonna be 11.
Oh.
And my little guy's 7. Yeah, it's just that age where you have to be, and she knows. I mean, listen, since they're little, I've always told them, creepy people. You tell them like the nice way as they're little. Now I'll scare the hell out of her.
Does she have a phone?
You just have to.
Does she have a phone?
Yeah, and it's for school. It's for school. I mean, listen, I want to know where she is at every moment.
You guys track every. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and she has a watch too, and the watch wasn't cutting it. Sometimes, and the watch shows that big bubble. I want it down to science of where you are.
Well, yeah, I mean, I personally.
If Daddy has to come find you, I want to know where you are.
I mean, I'm personally an advocate for chipping children and being able to, have GPS monitors in children. And if at 18 they want to take it out, they should be allowed.
Let me tell you, having kids today, it is scary. It is.
Yeah.
You don't know who they're going to you don't know what sicko is going to see them somewhere. There's just wacky people. But my kids are very alert. They are, because I've scared the hell out of them. And I know some people would say, "Oh, that's terrible," but you have to. Yeah. You do not. My son will come over to me, "Dad, look," and he show me his iPad. He's on Roblox, and these people, like, you don't know if it's a kid or if it's an adult, like just like banging into him, like just keeps walking into him in the game and like hi, trying to talk to him. You don't know who that person is, so he comes and shows me, which is good.
Tony Klein had a Roblox account.
And William keeps telling me I look like Mark Ruffalo. I don't see it, but thank you, Mark Ruffalo. You've played Roblox? Is that what you said?
No. I said Tony Klein had a Roblox.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. You don't know who's on there, man. And there's some wacky. You don't know if it's a kid just trying to play the game and just bump it into you, or if it's somebody trying to make. Will you stop it? Somebody trying to make conversation. And trying to, be a creep.
And what I'm sure that's hard to balance, that, the innocence of being a child with, the preparedness of, the world we live in, because, I'm sure you don't want to like scare your children to the point where you're like, because I mean, everything they do is innocent, like I know.
No, there's times where I will scare the hell out of them, and I do it because I want them to be aware.
When my niece was like 11.
If anybody, you can't make your kids think that the world is a safe place. when they're outside, when they're going with another friend's family somewhere. You have to watch everything around you. You do, because you just never know where that one psycho is going to come from.
Yeah. When my niece was 11, she got an Instagram account, and my sister-in-law didn't even know what Instagram was back then. And and she's posting her little dance videos on there. It's just her and her friends tumbling and things like that.
Yeah.
I looked through her follower list. Half of them were adult males, and
that's scary.
And I'm like, oh, it disgusted me. But we shut that down really quick. But everything she was doing was so innocent.
It's true. No, they are being innocent, but you just never know what's there.
Yeah.
Hey, Steph, but thank you.
College students, but
oh, she wants you to gloss it up. That's pretty funny.
I think she says, she did say gentleman. That would be you, wouldn't it?
I think she meant gentleman. I think it was supposed to be plural. I think it was.
I'll do it for both of us.
There you go. A little
Thank
lip gloss action. 2 huge dogs and a small dog. Wait, where'd that go? Big dogs are likely to lick you, but that little one, it's a mean one. Sometimes there are small dogs that are very aggressive. I'll never forget. I got bit by one when I was a kid. I must have been like maybe 7 years. I'll never forget it because it scared the hell out of me. I was like 7 years old, and I was going with my older brother. He was doing his newspaper route. That's that was the thing back in the day. And we're walking on this grassy area, and I'm going, there's something in the leaves. And he's like, what are you talking about? I go, there's something coming at us in the leaves. And you just saw these leaves like moving. This little freaking dog came out. I didn't know what it was. It bit me behind my leg. I was bleeding and everything. It looked like one of those little Toto dogs, but the thing was freaking wild.
You have a scar?
Was it?
You have a scar from it?
I probably do. It was behind, back of my leg, behind my knee. But it got me good, man. It scared the hell out of me. I just saw you knew there was an animal. There's nothing else coming through leaves like that. But yeah, it bit me. Little shit. Yeah. Now I get a dog like that coming at you, just kick it.
Yeah. No, I feel like we've gone off on a tangent. Sorry, we're talking about college students here, so
that's what it happens. Sometimes you got to reel yourself back in.
Yeah, I'm bad about it.
My ex-wife lets my daughter run at 14. I'm scared daily. Check that. I can understand that. As long listen, 14. As long as she knows. The whole thing is not to be running with AirPods in that do not have transparency mode. You need to be able to hear your surroundings.
I'm bad about that too.
Yeah. You don't have the AirPod Pros?
No, I have the AirPod Pros, but I don't like the transparency thing. So I've got them on.
Yeah, you got noise cancellation on while you're walking around.
Oh my God!
It's totally in outer space. You're in outer space to what's going on around you. That's great.
That blinking light in the alley, and I'm like, well, it's a shortcut.
Oh yeah, that's a shortcut. Yeah. Let me walk there. Oh, are those 6 people over there? What could they be doing?
Should count I should open my wallet up and look how much cash I have on me.
Oh boy, my son is 13. I worry so much. You have to worry. You have to listen. Everybody on here, you got to watch your kids. Watch your kids. Watch what they're doing online. And it's not even them doing something wrong. It's the people trying to manipulate. You got to watch everything.
And boys, I would say, are just as susceptible to it as girls are.
Absolutely.
I think they're targeted just as much.
They are. They are.
Even into college, we look at, I know with Sleuthing, I know it's gone down this road too with looking at the sextortion cases and things like that. And even people that are in college or high school that do things they think are innocent, or you think you're sending a picture to someone, and then it turns out you're getting threatened to have those pictures sent all over to everyone, and people have committed just out of embarrassment from it. So you've got to watch everything your kids are doing, unfortunately.
They do. It's scary stuff. I mean, look at what we're talking about. We're talking about college kids, and look at what happened to them. And it's not if say he got in through the keypad door, it wasn't their fault. That's the door. That's the door that the landlord put in. It's tough. It's tough stuff.
And I also think it's important that to note that we talk about things that you can do to protect yourself from things like this happening. But if you look at this case and you look at these girls like Kaylee and Madison, they went to a bar. They're 21 years old. You know, she just bought that new car. They were celebrating. She'd come back in town.
It's
They
what
did
every
everything
one
you're
of us
supposed
at one
to do.
time in our life did this.
But they
You know,
Ubered.
we
You
all,
know, they took a transportation to the place they went to drink.
Yep.
They took transportation to the place they went and got food afterwards. They took transportation home. They were in the buddy system.
yeah,
And then the same with Ethan and Xana. They were together. You know, they took all the steps you're supposed to take to protect yourself.
yeah.
And this still happened.
It's true. It's true. They didn't walk that one because at first, remember, people said they probably walked that 1 mile, you know, back to the house. They didn't. They got a ride,
Right.
you know.
And even if they had walked, you know, they always say if you're going to do stuff like that, go with a buddy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all have walked home from a bar that we shouldn't have walked home from, you know, at one point in our lives. It's just the way it is, you know. I mean,
I hope to do it again someday.
yeah, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you the first time that I went to. Somebody said about the ankle biter dog. Yeah, oh yeah, it was an ankle biter. All right, it got me good. I was bleeding like crazy. I didn't know what the hell happened. I'm like, I gotta get a shot for this now because this dog bit me.
And even law enforcement in that press conference, you know, even after this, you know, their advice to people was basically to do everything that these victims did. So
it's true. I mean, being on social, the whole problem is it always goes to social media. You know, what were they doing on social media? You know, now there's rumors of other things. One or two of them might have been doing. There's no evidence that's going on. You know,
right.
Nothing. But that's just the way it goes. It's terrible. It really is. It's you have people who want to what does it say? Ordering 2 guard dogs, $65,000 each. So 2. Well, if you're serious, you probably only need 1. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and then you not only get that, but then when I think that you know, like what people do on the internet as far as like looking at true crime and stuff like can be very helpful and beneficial. Look at Gabby Petito. You know, like someone, you know, because of social media, someone was able to, you know, get a video of that van that led investigators to discover her remains.
Yeah.
But then we get, you know, people like Jeremy who's on your stream, you know, and people are going into his social media from 10 years ago.
Contacting people from 10 years ago.
And looking, you know, he hunted. Oh, he hunted 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, everybody being a hunter does not mean that you're going to go kill a human being,
right?
Or multiple human. It's not one and the same. You know. Do you know? I mean, the amount of deer I had to put down just that were hit by cars. That's terrible. They're trying to stand up. They got broken legs. You have no choice. That's it. That's the end. You know. So like, does that make me blank because I had to put, I don't know, 30 deer down, probably 35 deer? It's terrible. But
where I grew up, it was odd if you didn't hunt.
Yeah.
We actually didn't have school the first day of deer hunting season every year.
This person said, "Bye, no info here. See you later. Good talk."
Sorry, PJ.
Great to have you. You know.
Should we do the info now?
Yeah, let's give the info now. We're glad to give the info now. I'm glad you're leaving, PJ. They have new remotes that are Harry Potter wands. You control things by casting a spell. I'm lost on that one. My shepherd can hear a gnat fart in the next county and barks at everything. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's like my Mally. She's getting active. She's doing circles with her ball because I'm talking. Yeah, she's just doing circles. But that's a good thing. Circles are good. Do we have any questions about Idaho?
I've not actually been looking at chat here. Was the other person that you were talking to me earlier about going to join or no?
Let me ask. I will ask.
Hey, Alexa. Hey, Cold Truth. I'm just now looking at chat for the first time. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the only bad dog bite I ever got was from an ankle biter. Yeah, because they got those little front teeth that are like angled differently to really cut you up like a razor.
So do you have any? I mean, I know it's speculative, but do you have any instinct or what, like, gut feeling as to either
I
targeting or who, what type of person this criminal would be?
I've said it even in the last live. I feel it's somebody that is at least connected to one of them. I just don't see the random person finding one of them or finding the house. Like to say the house was targeted. 6 people living in a house, seeing all those cars. That's a ballsy house to enter to commit murders.
Yeah.
It's kind of it just doesn't add up to me as the random killer.
Yeah.
You got to have some set to go into a house like that. Not knowing what you're going to expect. And I also said on the other live that I feel the Halloween party that they had might have something to play into this. Was there somebody that was at that party? Because the week before the murders was the family weekend, parent weekend. So that weekend was kind of like a loss. So if you go 1 week before that, you got the Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
So what was going on that weekend, and I think that law enforcement might be focusing. That's where I would be focusing a lot of time on. See what you get out of it.
My gut tells me the same thing as I don't know if it's necessarily someone the victims themselves might have. I think that this person was much more aware of the victims than the victims may have been of this person.
Oh yeah, I mean it could be that. Yeah, it could be. Is it an infatuation with one of them?
Right.
There has to be. It just has to be. There has to be some kind of connection for it to make sense.
The outliner or the thing that because I've like I said I've gone through scenario after scenario of was Kaylee the victim, was Madison the victim, and I think it's easier just to assume that one of them could have been, if there was one target, that one of them might have been the target because of just everything. But to me, the thing that stands out then is Ethan and Xana. Like they're the anomaly to me that I can't put my finger on.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. That makes sense.
And I always think to myself, I'm like, okay, so if you have an obsession with one of these people. I just sent that person the link, so yeah, he's gonna come. Oh, cool. To me, that I would think, if your obsession was with one of the victims, wouldn't you use an opportunity in which you were able to isolate that one person to fulfill the fantasy that they had, rather than, take on one, a night that, Kaylee was back at the house when she wasn't going to be. Ethan was staying over when he didn't stay over there every night. So I mean, like if you were only targeting one of the victims.
And listen, Xana could have spent
wouldn't you isolate him?
Many nights there too. At his frat house. You just I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need answers.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that keeps me from the whole one person being the target, because to me it just seems natural that you would isolate them.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. What do you want mods to do for you? Just not have, no spam, no spam. I let people say whatever they want as long as they're not attacking anybody.
Right.
But
how will we know if they're hot girls in our neighborhood?
Okay. Yeah. What are you saying over there?
Sometimes the people will come in, they're
yeah. Click the link. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
XXX.
In my comments. It pops up on my phone that they're in the comments. I got to ban them. This killer has to be connected at least one. And he's filmed with that. I agree. I just think very, very. If it turns out to not be, I mean, you got to have some set to go into a house like that. Different floors, not knowing where who or whatnot is.
Yeah, I feel like they have had to have had knowledge, even if they'd never been in the house. I feel like they had to have had knowledge of the layout of the house well enough, which could have been from someone. I mean, you look at that back parking lot. I mean, you have a clear vantage point into the windows of almost every room in that house except for the first floor.
And Jeremy told us the other day that parking lot was very dark.
Yeah,
very dark. You know, they're finally putting lights there, but it was very dark.
Yeah,
So,
especially on that end where the house is. So I mean, to me, someone easily could have, you know, been parked even in a car, you know, because it was cold that night. But you know, someone could have even been, you know, watching and waited to see the lights go off. Yeah. It's all speculative, of course, but
the person needs a few minutes just taking care of something and coming. We're at 572 in the chat. I'm just seeing that.
Cool.
Nice. Make sure everybody hits the like button, please.
Maybe I should drop my link.
Yeah, no, they dropped your link.
Oh, cool.
Your link was,
thank you.
D's dropping the links. My aunt was murdered by a dude that watched her for months at her local hangout bar. Took her from the parking lot one night. Sometimes people feel slighted. Wow, that's terrible. That is horrible. Yeah, you got some. That's what I'm saying. There's too many sickos in this world.
Yeah. I don't talk about this a lot, but I'll mention really quickly that I think one of the things that has made Idaho stick out, other than the fact that it's just a bizarre case, is when my oldest niece, who's 25 now, was a senior in college at the University of South Carolina. One of our family friends and her roommate all throughout college and best friend got into the wrong Uber and was murdered. It was national news. So I'm sure anyone that knows the name of Samantha Josephson. I mean, she was my niece's best friend. Much like these girls, you know, like these surviving roommates have talked, you know, and so having seen a little bit of the inside of what it's like to go through something like this, and I was not in the family, of course, but to watch that, you know, and watch my niece be approached by CNN, Fox News, ABC, NBC, all of
sure, everybody, yeah.
You know, and I was at the candlelight vigil, and you know, I was on the news, and I'm like, you know, it's totally different when you live through something like this than just sleuthing online about it. But
yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can't prepare yourself for everything you're going to encounter in life, but you got to be aware of your surroundings. You got to know, you got to know when your body will tell you something doesn't feel right here, you know, and go with that instinct. We don't know the identity of the sixth roommate, but I'm sure it's going to be a female. That's just my feeling on it. I'm sure it'll end up being a female.
I assume, yeah. And then, you know, I hear that, you know, there's so much speculation or rumors, you know, about like, you know, there was a fight at the fraternity and, you know, all these different things. And, I mean, I do know.
Even Banfield, they even ran with that 301 call on the field. They even ran with it, you know, and.
Right. Which, you know, it was an alcohol call, which, I mean, it is in the police. I looked it up myself, and it is there as far as there being, you know, it was called Banfield. Funny because it was on the show Banfield, but it was that field outside of the Sigma Chi house is called Banfield, and there was a call for an alcohol thing, which would not be uncommon after a frat party. I was in a fraternity, and you kept pronouncing it wrong the other day, by the way, CD. It's Chi.
Yeah, Chi. I know. Listen. I wasn't in a frat, as you could tell. You know.
The Greek in me was like, oh, "Come on, CD." Sigma Chi.
I knew what I wanted to do, and that's why I got hired at 22. That's what I was focused on. So yeah, frats. That's just wasn't my thing.
I had too much fun, and I dropped out after a year and a half. So it probably wasn't my thing.
I could understand that. You know, I could, you know. You're having a good time at school, and then you just, you know, start missing classes. You know,
I know they really got in the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Classes especially in Wisconsin.
Social life, you know, does make. Listen, I could get it. You know, think about these kids now. How, you know, and they were saying, oh, how could they be, you know, partying right now and stuff. These kids are numb. They don't know what they're probably looking at other people in their house saying, could it be him? You know, there's probably a lot of that going on too. You know, the calls for suspicious person is exploding. I think there was a call last night that somebody saw footsteps in the snow like towards their back porch. You know, so that, you know, it's normal. You know, something like this is going to really, you know, set people off.
Of course, yeah. And to criticize kids like this, I mean, I think when people go through traumatic experiences, sometimes it's natural to revert back into things that are comfortable and feel natural to you. And when you're 20 years old, what else are you supposed to do with your buddies? Like your whole thing is to hang out and have drinks and stuff like that. So even if you're sad and in your mourning, that's not going to stop them from doing those things. But you mentioned the snow. I thought that was interesting because I was like, if it had only, there's so much snow on the ground there right now, and I'm like, had there just been snow then, it would have provided even more evidence because they would have been able to possibly track footprints from the house.
Yeah. Our guest just popped up.
Cool.
So everybody, Jeremy's going to join. Jeremy Reagan's going to join the stream for a little bit, just to go over, the area. If anybody has any questions, stuff like that. Hey, Jeremy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool.
Jeremy, that's Adam. Adam, Jeremy.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. I go by Aspen, but CD calls me Adam for some reason.
Yeah.
Cool. Either way.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing well. You feel a little bit better that you gave your DNA and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm hoping now everything sort of just calms down and hopefully the media stops reaching out to me. I tried to make that abundantly clear last night of, hey, I'm done. Stop texting me, stop emailing me, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they got the message loud and clear.
I would assume that they do, And listen, for you, if that's how you feel, just stick to it,
Yeah.
Because they'll try and entice you and whatnot. Just stick to it. Lipcom, just so you know, I know you see that they took his DNA. He is the one that went there and offered his DNA to them. He just so let's get that clear. He just wanted. They're coming at him on social media and every angle as the suspect. So he wants, just his name cleared. That's the only reason he did it.
Yep.
Jeremy, I've got to say really quickly, my heart goes out to you for everything you've kind of had to, you kind of gone through since this as well. And I mean, I know it's not about you, but I know it's not easy to go through suspicion and the hate that people have been throwing your way. And I think that you've handled it with a lot of dignity and class, and I commend you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, like I've said many times, I don't care what random internet trolls think about me. And so I can read the stuff about them. Most of it I just read and I laugh. But yeah, it's just kind of annoying having my reputation and stuff dragged through the mud. And so that's why I did go. And like I said, I went and talked to one of my professors. She basically fast tracked me up the list. So the police came and talked to me sooner. Like I said, they didn't bring the kit with them when they came to talk to me. So I just went the next day and was like, hey, here's my name. Here's why I'm here. And one of the officers was like, all right, cool. Let me go get the mouth swab really quick. So he did. He took the swab and I walked out. And so, yeah, I was just wanted to clear my name, get it out of the way so that I can hopefully just fade back out of the spotlight because I don't like being in there.
Hey, great. And I know you just took, you said you had to take care of your dog and stuff. They did turn, the crime scene was turned back over to the landlord. Is the tape down? Did you see that or no?
I didn't pay attention, but I mean, I could step outside my front door really quick and look.
I've heard that this morning, so I mean, I would be to know.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I know there was a truck parked in the parking area. I did notice that.
Oh, okay, really? So that could be, that could be maybe the landlord's there, or a cleaning crew. The place is going to be thoroughly cleaned if they're done with the property. It's terrible.
So police tape is still up.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if that truck belongs to the landlord or if it's someone with the FBI or the Idaho State Police or what.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the police tape is still up, at least currently.
Makes sense. Okay, so they didn't turn it over yet.
Right. Well, would they naturally? Would they always take the police tape down, or could they just turn it back over and just leave it up and just kind of be like, keep of the front of the house, if you don't want anybody entering your driveway, they might leave that up, But it was taped all the way around the house, But I would,
I mean, listen, if you see where News Nation was yesterday, they were directly at the yellow tape, aiming up to the house last night. So that, if you don't want people entering your property, I mean, yeah, even if you put your own caution tape up,
I'd heard something about, and then you could answer the CD as far as the police tape being the smaller. There was it was taped off in the front in that parking area, and there was a line of tape across the front of the house, and then it extended then to the back, and they I believe it was the interview room, the guy from the interview room, Chris something. He was talking about how that indicates that they had a smaller scene that they then separated into a large into a different or a larger scene. So meaning one or the other held more significance than the other. And I could be getting that wrong.
Confused with me, like
didn't
they expand the scene?
Well, they did, but the second section. So they have the police tape cut off at the front of the house, and then the police tape then went back around the house as well. So they were saying because of that line that went in front of the house by the front door, that it kind of separated the two scenes.
No, they probably. I didn't see that, but they probably did. You could do that. Yeah. Also, you're supposed to be documenting everybody that's going in and out and whatnot for contamination and everything. So was that was the one in the front supposed to be that that's where you don't go past, possibly?
That's kind of what I just assumed, but I was interested. I thought it was interesting when I heard him say that, and I believe Jeremy met him.
Jeremy, you met? Oh, you didn't meet? No, I think it was a different neighbor.
Yeah, it was a different neighbor because he came over Thanksgiving break when I was out of town.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, he did. He came on Thanksgiving Day, I think.
Flying hedge guy, you're getting a warning. Be nice. Jeremy's here just to answer questions about the area. That's it. I don't know why, Jeremy, it's just the way I guess it is. You got, got some trolls here. Any mods, any trolls, just send them. Get rid of them. We're not going to deal with that.
Jeremy, I have a question regarding the back of that that parking lot of your apartment complex. I know you said it's really dark back there at night, and I think we've seen that on some of the news footage that I've seen. But if if you're standing in that area behind the victim's house in that parking lot, we see the hill line that goes up behind it. How easy would it be to traverse that landscape on foot? Are there paths that go through there?
The parking lot, the hill right above it,
that lead to that road. I think is Valdetta or Waldetta or something. I can't remember the name of the road now.
Wallendet or something. I can't remember the name. It changes names just because it goes around a corner, which is super weird. But regardless, it wouldn't be easy. That hill is really, really, really steep. I would say probably like a 70% incline or a 70-degree incline. It's incredibly steep. And then even then it goes directly up into a house. Because there's houses just right up above there. And so if they did walk up through that hill, first of all, it would be hard just because of how steep it is. And then second of all, they would run in directly into someone's house up at the top of the hill there.
Okay. So if you were to leave that area on foot, like if you're facing the back of the victim's house, the easiest route would be to the left at the end of that parking lot through that tree line.
I mean,
I'm just trying to kind of think ways that there could have been if someone was on foot, if how they could have left that area.
I mean, the easiest way would just to be walk straight back out through the road and then just cross over into the field and go up the hill that's at the end of Taylor before it turns left and changes into whatever that road name is. That would be the easiest. But in terms of staying undercover, yeah, sort of that upper parking lot, just going to there and then heading mostly east. It might be slightly off east a little bit, but mostly east or west. I don't know my directions. Going mostly west. It wouldn't be too difficult if they were to do that. But again, they would run into houses almost immediately because all along that hill there are houses and other properties. And so
And is there a chain fence on that one entire side?
I don't know how far up it goes, but yeah, on the west side of that upper parking lot, there is a little bit of fencing just to fence in someone's backyard.
Okay.
I don't know how far up it goes, if it goes all the way to the road or if it just goes up to their house and connects or what it does.
Jeremy, I got a question for you. I saw somebody that doesn't go to school there. How many of the neighbors there don't go to school?
That's really hard to say because I don't know them. I would say probably not many. Most of them do go to school here, but I'm sure
I would
some
think
of them are
that.
locals that just moved out of their parents' house and this was an available apartment.
Gotcha. That
I
would
would
make
say
sense.
maybe 10% if I'm being generous, but I would say the majority go to school.
Okay. Right. Which, to be fair, no offense, but for anyone that's not a college student, typically, if you're not in college, you don't want to live around college students.
That's why, it was an interview I saw, and I was kind of like, wow, living right here where, you got the frat house right there. There's no way you're getting, a good night's sleep on the weekend here.
Right.
I
think, Jeremy, even you said it was loud the first year you were there, and you got used to it, right?
Oh yeah. In 2020 and 2021, it was really loud. Those were some serious partiers. And then the next year it wasn't as bad, and this year it's been the quietest of the times that I've been up here.
Yeah, it's that in-person classes.
You what?
It's those in-person classes. They require people.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, you're right. It's not Zoom. Anybody have questions for Jeremy about the area there or anything? Anything about the area? Anything related to anything else? We don't. He spoke about it the other day. He doesn't really need to get into all that.
Right. Yeah, general area, Moscow in general, just anything like that.
Yeah, because Jeremy has said, you don't know anything about the crime, so you can't really speak to any of that. So mainly just the area in Moscow. If anyone has any questions.
Somebody asked, did he ever see a sixth roommate? I don't think he would notice that, but.
I might have seen them, but I didn't know they were a sixth roommate. I didn't know how many people lived there. Yeah. I thought it was 4. I thought it was only a 4-person house, but apparently not.
Right. I know you were. I know you can't speak to this, Jeremy, but CD, what did you think about the fact that it took 2 weeks for them to remove the cars? Is that normal, or I'm sure they're at the crime lab or somewhere now, but
I would have liked them to have taken it before it snowed.
Right.
I don't really know the reasoning. They should have taken them. They should have taken them before they snowed. And I don't like to criticize law enforcement. I don't know why they did it that way. But as soon as it snowed, they were removed for a reason. But
is it odd that they would it be odd that hypothetically if one of the vehicles that was there was driven by someone that had come over that morning for the when they made the 911 call, would it be odd that they kept that car?
You're keeping them all. Just it's kind of sorry, but we have to keep it for evidence. It is what it is. It's just the way it goes. It's on a crime scene now. But yeah, I know what you mean, because we know that there's other cars there that.
Right. Yeah, we know one of the surviving roommates' boyfriends possibly was one of the vehicles, and I've heard Ethan's sister.
Yep. That was her
Explorer. One of the vehicles.
Yeah, which is it's tough, but it's right at the crime scene. There's nothing you can do.
Jeremy, what's the vibe been like since you got back from Thanksgiving break in town? How did a lot of students come back? Do you think? What do you? Is everyone kind of just on edge? What's the vibe in town?
So at least from what I've seen, classes are generally half empty. So I would say anywhere from about a third to half of the students just stayed home after break because the university gave that option. And then just walking to and from class, you definitely notice that there are a lot fewer people. It used to be when I would go to school, I would see, usually when I went to my 11 a.m. class, I would see like 40, 50 people walking just between buildings to get to classes. And then now it's just, you'll see like 5 or 6 people at any given time. It's very noticeably different. And then just, I think everyone's just sort of on edge, cautious, quiet. We don't know anything that you guys don't know. And so we're just as in the dark about everything. And so I think people are just trying to sort of sit back and wait to find out more rather than talking about stuff and speculating and spreading false rumors and stuff like that. So
but it's also scary being there and not knowing, could this person be living next door to you? Could it happen again? And that's the fear and it's rightfully so. I can understand it,
Yeah, it's certainly unsettling.
And I mean, have you noticed just like kind of like law enforcement presence on campus, like just speaking to people or just just being present?
So I haven't seen the actual officers themselves, but I've seen a lot more vehicles on campus, like police vehicles. And so I don't know whether they're in the buildings talking to people or what they're doing, but usually there would be 1 or 2 on campus throughout the day. And then now there's 4 or 5 typically, which the university did mention they were going to increase the police presence just for safety.
That was going to be my next question, actually, was, like I know the university had said some things about like what their plans were, from what, they followed through with some of that as far as like, I think there was talk about providing alert devices to people if they wanted them, or the buddy, or offering assistance like walking to and from if you had an evening class or whatever. Like, what kind of communication are you getting from the university?
So in terms of any sort of alert system, to my knowledge, they haven't done anything like that. I think they might have an app or something you can download that might do it, but it's not like a separate device, at least that I've seen. And then for the buddy system, that's just been something that they've always done. They have the 24-hour line that you can call, because the university has like a deal with the MPD. And so if a student does feel like it's not safe to go from one class to another, they can call the like non-emergency line basically and say, hey, can I get an escort from place A to place B? And there'll be someone to take them. So that's just something they've always done. That's not new because of this.
And is that a cop that would come do that, or like the school security, or is that somebody that like donating their time to these walks?
I believe it's an officer because the school security is just contracted out through the Moscow Police Department. And so I believe it would just be an officer that's available to just respond to that.
Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I'm just writing the text back.
Sorry, CD, I keep asking questions, so I'm not trying to.
No, good.
Not trying to dominate.
No.
Stream here.
No. I spoke to him the other day for an hour. You could take away. Go ahead.
Oh, well, now I don't have a question. So, is there any message or anything, anything you want to put that hasn't really been spoken about, or that you haven't been given the opportunity to speak about that you want to, Jeremy?
I don't think so. I think I've pretty much had the chance to say everything I've wanted to say, mostly because the media has hounded me and given me so many opportunities to say stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I can speak from experience as far as like, sadly, you're gonna have to deal with the fact that even after this is long said and done, your name in a Google search is gonna tie you to this, and that's something I know is unfortunate, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It's really it's unfortunate. But
so I see the question from. Sorry, I see the question from Crime Sleuthing. So I mean, security. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't answer that. There was lighting put up and that stuff, but I don't want you to get into your personal, security with cameras and stuff. We don't need to answer that.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And no crime sleuthing was a good question, but it just for Jeremy's safety, I don't want him to answer that.
Do I feel the grub bus guy is creepy? I think he was a guy standing there. Like, I would have done the exact same thing. So, I mean, depends on your perspective. Because, I mean, he walked up there with the girls. And so him sort of walking over and standing by them afterward is not all that weird. And then you watch in the video, they sort of walk away and he's like looking around, like where'd they go, throws up his arm and walks the other way. So it's not like, at least in that video, he was following him or doing anything creepy. At least not in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. But I think there was kind of eye contact at one point between one of the girls and him, wasn't there?
I don't know. I didn't pay.
It was like very brief. Yeah, and people dissected that whole tape and whatnot. I mean, listen, it's good in the beginning because you don't know, you don't know what you're going to see. But
it's funny. I was watching that video the very first time I watched it, and I haven't done a video of myself on this case, but I was like, why is no one talking about the fact that you can see the lights of the car that pick them up, pull up, and you see every single thing about it, like the reflection of the lights out of that window. So I'm like, everyone that's speculating on where, like when they got in the car and left everything, I'm like, you can see it all just from the reflection in the glass.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
it's true. You could see pretty much, everything that was going on in the background.
And then, people got tired of speculating about the hoodie guy. And then, then they went to the other guy. And then I've even heard speculation about the Grubhub owner. And I'm like, come on, people.
Yeah.
They're like, why would someone stream college girls on Twitch, late at night? And I'm like,
because college girls walked up. He would have been streaming college guys on Twitch late at night. But...
Exactly.
I mean, Jeremy, he's pretty much like a staple there, right? He's been there for years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's like one of the most popular places to go late at night for food because a lot of places close relatively early, unless you want to go get like McDonald's. That place is basically your only other option, and the food is good there, and so it doesn't surprise me at all.
The amount of people that go there, it seems like it's got to have some good food.
Yeah, good food, definitely reasonably priced, and then just fun to sort of stand and talk to people as you're waiting for food. And I can't remember if they had music on when I went there the most recently, but they might have had music playing outside also. I can't remember for sure.
Right. This might be a question you've been asked before, and I know that I've heard that a lot of people have put up Ring doorbell cameras and things like that since the crime. But I mean, like just from walking your dog and everything, what notion of like camera footage, like is that common in that area that people would have Ring doorbells, or anywhere that you know of for sure that there have been security cameras?
Not in this neighborhood. Over in the more like residential area for the more permanent people here, it wouldn't surprise me if many of them have some sort of cameras. Okay. But in terms of this neighborhood, I haven't seen any before, and I still haven't really paid attention to look for any now. I'm sure there are a couple more that are up, but I just haven't been looking for them because it's not something I usually look at.
Oh. And then, I mean, I've heard it speculated that I've even looking at maps. I mean, I know your apartment is on a dead end there, which I'm sure gets a lot of traffic just from people that live in your complex. But is it true that there really is only one way in and out of that neighborhood, right? So, I mean, if you're in a vehicle, you kind of have to go down Taylor, or at least turn by the Sigma Chi house or go straight to leave that neighborhood, correct?
Yeah, if you're in a vehicle, King Road is your only entry and exit point.
Right.
If you're on foot, there is a little path that you can walk that'll take you over to Linda Avenue, which is just the next road down Taylor, closer to Highway 95. But that's only accessible through like foot or bicycle. Okay. It's just like a 3-foot wide path, so a vehicle wouldn't fit through there at all.
Makes sense. Me and you talked about that the other day. We were talking about. I asked you about if a car, came up at night, it would pretty much light the house up too, right?
Yeah, it would be the one light source in this whole neighborhood back then.
Now it's getting better with lights being put up, which is good. That's
yeah,
a good
there's
thing.
that really big, I don't want to call it a floodlight because I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just that really big light on the front corner of the apartment complex here, and that lights up quite a bit.
That's good. That's needed,
Yeah. Sadly, hindsight is always 20/20, but like one of the first things I remember thinking, was like how did these places not have like the motion lights? Just like I saw how dark it was back around your apartment complex, and I'm thinking a simple just motion, $20 at Lowe's or Home Depot,
let's
and
solve this.
Yeah, I mean, granted, if you live in that apartment right there where the light is, it would probably be annoying, but.
Yeah, the room is far enough away. Just close your door. You won't see the light.
It's true. It's true.
How annoying? Like, not even. I mean, I know you've been hounded by media,
Give me
but
1 second.
how annoying has it been? Just the presence of like the news crews and everything being all around there for the last over 2 weeks. Did they block the road, or like? I mean, is it hard to walk your dog?
No. The only annoying thing is like when they have their camera tripod set up, it definitely condenses an already fairly thin road. So getting your vehicle past it is a little more tricky, especially now that it's snowy and slick, because that hill is already a pain in the snow. And now when you're trying to also avoid people and cameras, it's even harder. But on foot, it's not bad at all. You just walk right past them like they don't even exist.
And the majority of them, I mean, have the majority of people been like respectful and polite, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good. That's at least one caveat there.
Yeah. And then Crime Sleuthing, to just sort of halfway answer your question. To answer your questions, it's in my first and second interview are the answers to all of your questions that you were asking earlier. So the black t-shirt and then the gray coat. If you watch both of those interviews, all of your questions will be answered.
Yeah.
Jeremy, just thinking about your second interview, I think I got to see. I think my shirt does what your jacket does. I got to see. Yeah, it does. Look, where's the camera?
Yeah, exactly. It's just that.
Yeah.
Just to keep the sleeve down.
Isn't it interesting how like the most innocent thing can like set people down the path of like you're like you, because I'm sure Jeremy, you were thinking like what are people talking about, like oh, my jacket, what?
Yeah, I saw people like, oh, he's bandaged, like he's trying to hide his hands and arms, and I was like, what are you talking about? That is just how my coat is built. Like I'm not trying to hide anything. So I thought it was just weird how they saw that. And I had it on both thumbs, but people were like, oh, it's only on his right hand. And it's like, no, that's just the only hand that you saw because I lifted it up as I gestured toward the building.
Yeah. I mean, I was sent surveillance footage from a theft. I don't even remember the year that it was in, where someone went into someone's backyard and stole I can't remember if it was a power saw or what it was, but I mean, they had matched it to the jacket you were wearing in that interview, and they were like, "See, it's him."
Me?
So sick.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like a surveillance video from, like, I guess someone had gotten a power saw stolen from their backyard a couple years ago in Moscow, or a year ago in Moscow, and someone had matched a blue plaid jacket to your description, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, that is not I don't know your age, but I was assuming it like around a 20-year-old at that time guy. I'm like, but I mean, they were sure. They were like, look, the jacket he's wearing in this interview and the jacket here. I'm like, it's a blue plaid jacket.
Versus a gray. I mean, technically it is sort of plaid, but it's a gray coat versus a blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't steal a power. You didn't steal a power saw from anyone's backyard lately.
Nope. I've never stolen a power saw from someone's backyard.
Okay. So we can check that one off the list too, everyone.
Yeah, it's just scary stuff. So that question is it possible Kaylee and Maddie were calling Jack because they were getting a funky vibe? I think they were just using two phones to call him because he wasn't answering. I mean, the family said that one of the last texts was about the dog. Like, we have a dog, we share a dog in common. Call me back. So I don't look too deep into that.
Yeah. So that does bring me to a point, because I had mentioned that I didn't know that they had a dog at that apartment. And it's because every time I had seen the dog, it was with the boyfriend up at the boyfriend's house. And so I just assumed it lived there. And so that's why I didn't know that there was a dog just next door, is because every time I had seen it, it was always associated with the boyfriend. And so I didn't realize that they shared it in common. And so that was something interesting I found out recently, because I saw a picture on Facebook and I was like, how old is this dog? Because I had seen it when it was a puppy and it still looked really young. And they were like, oh, he's about 11 months, maybe going on a year right now. And I was like, oh, so it is that same dog that I thought. And so I just found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
It's just, there's an incident where a guy threatened some students with a knife on campus. Yeah, he was arrested. A person from that incident was arrested.
Yep.
I think he was wearing all black with a blue backpack, and he was arrested.
Yeah, the clothing I have no idea about. I'll just trust you on the clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I read the little blotter of it I think it was yesterday. We have no idea. The law enforcement isn't given much, so we don't know what DX told police where he was.
Right. Well, the family.
Does your dog need to go out and pee? My dog goes she goes out a lot because she just likes to be outside and run around and stuff. So,
right.
I mean, if realistically, if she was only going out to be walked like that, maybe 3 times.
Right. Something I found interesting. I know that Kaylee's sister, who I think her name was Olivia, spelled with an A. I mean, I'm like to be grieving the way they are, and then to like she's been on it when it comes to like some of the. I think she's the one that got the grub truck video out there, and she's the one that kind of did the 156 timeline. But she even like said, that they know they got home at 156, and that that they took the dog out and then went in and locked the door. So I'm thinking like, how do they, how did she know that unless there is some sort of video footage? But I guess that could be from anywhere. But she was confident in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe that, Jeremy, you said that you saw the dog when it was a puppy. You didn't know that the dog was shared between her and the boyfriend, correct? Just
correct.
To clarify.
Yeah, every time that I had seen the dog, it was with the boyfriend in some capacity. I had seen him and her together out with the dog. I didn't know she was my neighbor at that point. I didn't really pay enough attention to realize. But I had always seen the puppy just up a little ways up King Road, just at one of the houses where the boyfriend had lived. And so I just assumed it was his dog, and that
right.
His girlfriend was out with him when he was playing with his dog a couple of times. Right.
I had when people were talking, because people are so obsessed with the dog that I had even thought to myself, would it have been uncommon? Maybe the dog was with her ex-boyfriend, since they live so close, and then that's what those calls were about, because she was like, oh, bring the dog back. But I mean, that's completely speculative, and they've said the dog was in the house. So
what kind of name is that? Duty Ron's elbow? What is that? Oh man, I'm being told I look like Mark Ruffalo. I've never been told that in my life, but I'm hearing it all the time on here. So I'm not really sure.
I can definitely see it.
Wow.
At his peak, at Mark Ruffalo's peak.
Yeah. He's getting old now, right? I mean, come on, take it easy here.
Right.
Not that old. Jeremy's dog only went out to pee twice in a day. That could happen. I mean, you don't have to walk your dog 3 times a day. Some people, 10 to 12 hours. Depends on the dog.
Yeah, and I don't know.
My dog, if she doesn't go out 3 times, she'll be doing circles and flipping out on me. So, where has this guy been around that dog? He hasn't been around the dog. He's never touched the dog.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that you got to listen to what he's saying, because Say, Cindy. You got to listen to what he's saying, because you only hear certain words, and then that's where the whole rumors start.
Yeah.
A stalker could be, but why kill the other 3 victims? I know, Alexa.
That's Alexa. You and I have talked to Alexa. That that's to me is the thing that keeps me from believing this. Like if it's not a single victim, like to me that was like that's the one thing that could mean that it's not a single victim, because I think you would naturally isolate one person if that was you wanted to kill one person. I don't think you would go into a house and kill 4 people if you were obsessed with one person.
Yeah. That's also why I don't really believe the whole like cartel hit thing, because I mean, people have been like, oh, well, Matt or Xana's mom got arrested, and it's like, maybe it's cartel. And it's like, well, why would Xana and Ethan not be the only 2 people that were targeted to send a message? Like, why go after Madison and Kaylee? And so that's why I don't think it was a cartel hit either.
Right. Nor were they
a lot of cartel hits. They want you to know it was the cartel. You know what I'm saying? It's more so they would go for who their intended targets are, and
they would have killed the dog.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm like to me. I think if it were like drug related, I think they would have used a gun and they would have killed the dog.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you didn't have anybody next to you when you gave your first interview, right? Wasn't that the other guy with the girl?
Yeah, no, that was a different guy that lives at this apartment complex.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it's funny because a lot of people thought that we were the same person. I don't know why.
Really?
Well, somebody right here is look. Somebody's thinking he's the same. That he's one and the same.
He had long, straight hair, and I mean, I'm not going to criticize the guy, but I did have to find it funny. I mean, not funny, but I did find it interesting when the subject that we're talking about, and then he was like, "My girlfriend's home by herself all the time at night."
Like Cindy.
And she just kind of looked up at him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He basically is like, "Yeah, we're so worried because
I work late at night. She's here by herself."
You don't know how it's going to come out that you're on the news.
I know,
but I get it.
I'm sure they had a conversation about that later.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I was so concerned because I work at night and she's home alone. Like, what?
Yeah. So I will say, based on a lot of people have that same thought of thinking that I was the same person both times, just in different scenes in that interview. And so a lot of the rumors that I was seeing were like, man, Jeremy looked really high during that interview. And I was like, what do you mean I looked high? And then I realized they were talking about that other guy. And I was like, okay, I can definitely see how they thought that that person was high. But I just thought it was weird because it's like, I definitely wasn't. I don't know where I gave that vibe. But then I realized they were talking about the other guy and just thinking that I was both scenes of that interview.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely the reason why. Just trying to read here. Has there been any new info about the 301-911 call? They're asking you, Adam.
No. I mean, it's, to me, it was simply just, I mean, there was a fraternity party that evening that Band Field is directly, outside of the Sigma Chi house. So to me, it would not be uncommon. There was an alcohol call at 3:01 a.m. Now, depending on the timeline of the killer, it gives a little bit of more brazenness to what they did if the police responded with the lights on or whatever, just because there is such a clear vantage point from that house to the Sigma Chi house that I would think if you saw police cars down there, you might pause before you murdered 4 people. But I don't put any relevance into that unless I'm given any more reason to. I mean, Jeremy, I know you can't talk, there's really nothing about the case, but I mean, have you heard anything about that 301 call?
I've heard about it. I have no idea what it was about.
The police call log said it was an alcohol related call. So, I mean, I just assumed it was probably someone, it's college campus. So to me, it wouldn't be uncommon the cops come for the end of the night at a party. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I've heard speculation, rumors about there being a fight, all different things, and I mean, to me, that's all kind of a moot point.
Yeah.
TTM Fangirls says, hello, CD Aspen. Yep. The third on panel is Jeremy Reagan, who lives in Moscow, Idaho. So I know you didn't know any of the victims, right, Jeremy?
Not personally.
Not
I had
personally.
seen them around, but I didn't personally know any of them.
And I mean, are without giving any names or anything like that, I mean, are like rumors just like running kind of rampant around campus as far as like speculation? Like, are you hearing all sorts of different things, or are a lot of things kind of consistent?
I think it's only the internet that's speculating, to be honest. I haven't heard anything about anything in Moscow. I don't hear anyone talking and being like, oh, maybe it was this or that. I think that's just an internet thing, because at least from what I've heard in Moscow, no one's spreading rumors or talking about it.
Okay.
At least not out in public.
Right. So like even within your friend circle, you're not hearing like people be like, oh, well, I'm hearing it's, something this and something that. And like, and you don't have to give details of any of it, but I just wanted to know what kind of the game of telephone, if there was a game of telephone going on, or if people were just being kind of quiet.
If there's a game of telephone, I'm not in the call, so I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, at least from what I've noticed, people in Moscow just aren't trying to spread any rumors. They're just leaving the cops to do what they need to do.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I mean, have you noticed like the police down at the Sigma Chi house, like on, at all or on multiple occasions or anything like that, as far as like since, meaning since the crime?
I haven't.
Or at least these cars or anything down there?
I haven't, no. On my walk to school, I don't really get a good vantage point sort of up Nez Perce Drive, which is the road that the house is situated on.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that I walk through school, when I cross the field, the sorority to the right of that one sort of blocks the view of the Sigma Chi house. And then cops pretty much never went and parked on the lower end when dealing with that house. And so
Okay.
I don't ever see cops just right across from King, where it would be easy to park and walk over to the house.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious to see if if there was a presence, possibly interviewing, people that from the party or people that lived in that house or anything like that.
Yeah, at least the couple of times that I've driven by on that road, because that's pretty much the main road to get over to the not Highway 95, but the other main highway through Moscow. Nez Perce / Perimeter are the easiest. Is the easiest to take.
Is that the road that is perpendicular to Taylor Avenue? Does Taylor Avenue run along that band field?
Yeah, so the other side of the field,
Okay.
that's Nez Perce, which I think at one of the stop signs along there, it turns into Perimeter. I don't know exactly when it changes names, but it's one of those roads that changes names for no reason.
Okay.
But yeah, that one sort of loops around the long way around campus, but it, like I said, is the most convenient way to connect to that other main highway in Moscow. So the couple of times that I've driven on there, at least, I haven't noticed any police vehicles around the house, but it might have just been the timing that I drove by.
Okay. I mean, have you ever been to the corner? Was it the Corner Club? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
A
ever been
couple
there?
of times. That was actually the very first place that we all went as law students our first year, to just sort of meet each other before the school year started.
Okay. Is it mainly a college bar?
Not really. I mean, in Moscow, every bar is a college bar, but it's not like only college students go there. There are quite a bit of people in their 30s and 40s and up that go there pretty frequently also, because there's not a whole lot of bars in Moscow. I think there's 4 or 5 bars, and then a couple of like, not really brew houses, but places you can go with a decent beer selection.
Nice.
So, I mean, technically every bar in Moscow is a college bar, because college students go to all of them. But yeah, it's not like Corner Club specifically is where everyone goes.
Okay. And is it mainly just kind of, like, you know, you're like a sports bar, or like is it considered like a dive bar, or just
Definitely a dive bar.
yeah, okay, cool.
The only bar in Moscow that's not a dive bar is Mingles, and that's because Mingles is more of a pool hall. They have a bunch of pool tables set up so that you can play pool while you're drinking or eating food. By the way, Mingles has really good food, so if you're ever in the mood to go play pool and eat food while you're in Moscow, Mingles is a good place.
Well, I live in North Carolina, so if I happen to be in Moscow, Idaho, I will I'll check out Mingles.
Cool. Yeah, there's not really much to check out in Moscow, so definitely don't feel like it's something you have to put on your bucket list.
No, I mean it looks like a cute town. I know that in the geography, I mean around the area looks gorgeous too. So I mean, I used to live in Sacramento, California, but somehow I always avoided Idaho when I would, you know, venture out on like road trips. So
Yeah. I don't know. If you're going to hit Idaho, I would say either southern Idaho to do it or like a little bit further north up in like the Coeur d'Alene area. Because right here in Moscow, it's just a bunch of rolling hills full of wheat. And so not really all that scenic compared to the rest of Idaho, where there's a bunch of mountains and trees and rivers and stuff like that.
okay. Something just came. I know that people. I know that the what's the other university that's in Washington that's like 10 minutes away.
Wazoo, Washington State University.
So like, how much crossover is there, like student body wise, as far as like interactions, or mean, like, you know, would it be uncommon for people to like go to one campus or the other, like party wise, or do you know people from like both schools, or like, because I mean, you know, because of the proximity, you know, it's a whole
Yeah,
other university there.
I know people do go from one campus to the other for certain parties. I only know that because my first year here, there were some people that went to WSU that asked me if I could pick them up from a party here on campus at U of I. I don't know how frequently they cross campuses because there are enough parties at each place that you could just walk, so you don't have to worry about Ubering or driving home or anything.
Right.
But it does happen a little bit. I would say it's probably more frequent for people from U of I to go over to WSU, just because the parties over there, there's more alcohol. Weed is legal, so you don't have to worry about getting busted for smoking weed. Plus, it seems like it's just more known for being bigger, better parties over at Wazoo than here. But there are definitely its fair share of parties here at U of I.
Right. I think if you're in college and you want to find a party, you can typically find one.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm trying to think. Oh, did you hear that thing about that taxi driver that said, you know, like you know, like referred to like your area, like where your apartment complex is like, you know, like, because I personally don't believe there's any like here or there with the whole like drug thing. But I mean, I know that that taxi driver like was reported saying, you know, oh, it's a drug area. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if people sold in this area just because college students are going to sell drugs to other college students.
Right.
I don't
And I
know if they do or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was true.
Right. But I mean, so I mean, it's such a vague kind of thing that, you know, that he said, that I was like, okay, I mean, are we talking like weed, or are we talking, you know, cocaine, you know, like, you know, so I mean, I think there's a big difference whether, you know, if you're talking about meth and heroin, whether you're talking about weed. So, you know,
Yeah, I think it's typically more of the party drugs where it's going to be like weed or LSD or Molly or stuff like that. Um, I'm sure there is some like heroin and meth and fentanyl coming through also, but typically what the college students sell is going to be more of the party drugs
alcohol
that
or something
college
like
students are going to want.
that. Okay. So it's not like your neighborhood's known for like, you know, drug raids and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen a drug raid in this neighborhood since I've been here.
Okay. I just wanted to clear that up because I know I'd heard, you know, I'd heard that interview and I was like, that's kind of, I kind of thought that was vague and weird, but
Yeah. I mean, that taxi driver might know more than I do, but I haven't seen any drug busts or anything.
And again, like just like if you're in college and looking for a party, if you're looking for drugs, I don't care what neighborhood you're in, you're probably going to be able to find them.
Oh yeah, even if you have to wait until the next day, or if you have to drive a couple blocks over or whatever, yeah, you're going to be able to find them. People have connections.
Right. But to me, it doesn't. I don't speculate that any of these like victims were like hard drug users, like on a regular basis. So.
Oh yeah, no, I doubt they did. If they did drugs, I would assume maybe they smoked a little bit of weed, but even that I don't know because I never like smelled weed all the way out on the like walkway as I was walking by, and so it's not like it was like definitely like a hot house where it's like, oh, there's smoke rolling out of the windows type of thing. So I would assume they probably just stuck to alcohol, and then like I said, maybe a little bit of weed, but even then it wasn't excessive. Yeah.
Are you seeing anything in the chat, Jeremy, that you'd like to answer? I was not paying attention to it, and I'm not sure where our host ran off to.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. Let's see. Two roommates that were unharmed, both on the third floor. No, the two roommates that were unharmed were on the bottom floor, the ground floor.
I'm back.
And Bosmaka, sorry if I mispronounced that. Vaping is definitely different than doing drugs. So I mean, even if she was vaping in the food truck video, that doesn't mean that she did drugs or anything like that. Like I said, if they did, yeah, more than likely it was. Like I said, if they did do any sort of drugs or anything, maybe smoke a little bit of weed, but even that I have no knowledge of. But it definitely wasn't any hard drugs that they were doing if they did any.
Jeremy, I heard you say we were talking about you said LSD. Is that something that's used on the campus there, or a little bit here and there you hear?
I mean, not to my knowledge, but just from being an undergraduate and being at other universities, I know that was fairly common. So I just sort of assumed it was common at all universities.
Yeah, it could be. It could definitely be.
I tried it in college.
Was that the 90s? Was that the late 90s?
Yeah. No, it was the early 2000s. Give me a little bit of credit here.
All right. You're a youngin'. That's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Where'd you did you say you went to school in California? I heard California. I was listening.
No, I lived in California for a minute. No, I lived in California for a year, but I went to college in Wisconsin. Actually, at a school smaller.
The cheese state, huh?
Yeah, the cheese state.
What was it?
Ripon College.
I've met quite a few people from Wisconsin. Everybody was, usually you see, people from different states and like, oh, you get, like, oh, they're nasty, or everybody I met from Wisconsin has been good people.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know what they say about New Yorkers, so it is what it is.
Hey, most New Yorkers I know are pretty decent.
We just say how it is. There's that's just the way we're raised. There's no time for bullshitting, so it just comes out. LSD. I know they're using for different types of depression and stuff, and like microdosing.
Yeah, I just watched a documentary on that.
Yeah. Helps rewire the brain if you do small doses.
Yeah, microdosing it's called. Not like Mike Tyson when he's on a podcast and the guy swallows like I don't know how many grams of shrooms. And you ever see him do it?
No.
You gotta like Google a clip of it and just watch him. He just keeps chewing it until it turns into like a paste. I think by the time he's done chewing it, the man is hallucinating. I do not find it weird that Kaylee bought a 2016 Land Rover Evoque.
Yeah.
Used pricing on them are $18,000 to $25,000.
Yeah.
So I don't, I don't find that to be. If it was a brand new $100,000 Range Rover Sport, supercharged, something like that, yeah, that's a little weird. This is a totally different vehicle.
Right. And we don't know, she had, we don't know what kind of, we don't know her circumstances. I know that the family said that she purchased that car on her own. And, it's important to remember she had 2 days prior sold her previous car. So one, she had all of the profit from that.
I think I was listed for what, 7,000? I saw
Yeah.
the link for it. So
$7,000 down payment on a $20,000 used Range Rover is going to make your payment.
That's about, even if you'd stretch it out to 60 months, it's like $200 a month.
Right. And then
210.
not to mention, it wouldn't be unheard of, if she'd gotten this new job, that she'd gotten a signing bonus or something. And it was with a marketing firm for whoever was asking, but that to me does not seem odd at all.
No, 20,000. You even say $22,000. You have 7,000 for your cards, 15,000 over 60 months is like $280, $300 a month. It's not anything that's insanely crazy.
And depending on your credit, you can sometimes get or depending on the dealership you're buying it from, they might have had you don't pay, make your first payment for 3 months.
Yeah, some dealerships are doing that with used vehicles. Yeah. It just all depends. It's so many unknowns. But again, it's not a brand new $100,000 car.
I know where the speculation from that comes from, and I think it bothers me even a little bit more, just because I'm like, I'll say this, I'm confident if any of those students had an OnlyFans page, internet sleuthers and 4chan would have found it by now.
Mm-hmm.
So I
agree with that. I agree with that.
No, they're there, and I think that's what people are speculating when they're asking where she got the money.
They're seeing pretty girls, and there's a lot of assumptions there, and that's the sad part of anything.
And even if someone did have one, I don't think that that's anything that's our business. So that's
Curly, getting a $20,000 used car and a parent co-signs, it's done. When I want to say when I was in college, I was bartending. I bought a brand new Acura Integra. My parents signed for it, and I paid for it. That was my first brand new car, 1998. I paid for it, and they signed for it. So it's not anything that's out.
I bought a Lexus IS 300 when I was 22. So
those were nice.
Not that I'm going to respond to that to anything from that person, but that's just my personal feeling.
Oh, is that the person that has a channel?
Yeah. If you want to call it that. But good luck.
Poof.
God bless.
Be gone. They're gone. I didn't know who that was, but now they're gone. They're gone. Let's click on a different comment. That person went poof. It was a quick.
You didn't have to do that. I'm a big boy.
For you, it is done. For you, it is done. I didn't realize who it was, because I know there even in your guys' chat there's a CJK. Remember? So I thought it was the same. But yeah, bye. No, I don't play that. You know that.
Yeah.
So Jody, I see you keep asking. There were 4 victims, but 5 cars towed, because not all of them belong to the victims. That we were talking about this earlier. One of them was, what was it? Ethan's sister, I think you said. Their vehicle.
The Explorer was Ethan's sister, friends. And the white car, I believe, is
Dylan's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not all the cars belong to just the victims. It was other people that had their cars then temporarily seized because crime scene.
Yeah, I thought it was
out
that. I guess Maddie didn't have a car. I don't, because I'd not heard anything about her vehicle, so I don't know if she had one or not. Had there been? I mean, were those the cars that were normally parked there, Jeremy, or did you ever even pay attention?
I mean, I'm really bad at knowing which vehicles are typically parked there, just because I don't care about vehicles.
Right.
I knew most of them at least were pretty common there. I mean, even the black one, what was it, the Explorer or something like that? Even that one was parked there pretty frequently.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because I've not independently verified that myself as far as that being Ethan's sisters, That's what I kept hearing.
I was told that, but also, it could be, it could have been that, maybe the triplets were using one car on campus.
Those
I
are not-
wouldn't think that they need, even though they probably all have their own cars, to have three different cars at the school. I mean, it could be, but at the same time, I mean, I think one car would suffice to share, where you got to go.
Probably not if you're one of them.
I don't think if they had something else make it their fault wouldn't make. No, definitely. Even if they did,
No.
it wouldn't make them bad people. Listen,
But people I think allude to that kind of stuff, and that's why I was like, I don't think there was it, and I don't.
People are looking for. They want to know the reason. So whatever they could dig up, that's the reason. So that's just what it is. It's just they're trying to find that reason.
Yeah, and I mean, even that is just sort of blaming them. It's like when the I-5 killer would go and pick up various prostitutes and other sex workers back in, what was it, the 70s or 80s? And it's like, oh, well, that's just their lifestyle. They had it coming. And so it's like OnlyFans is sort of the modern day equivalent, but that doesn't mean they deserved anything bad to happen just because that's something they did. So, I mean, it's basically victim blaming, saying, oh, they worked in this specific area, so they had anything bad coming.
Right. Now for law, I'm sure for like a law enforcement standpoint, if you're looking into, victimology as far as, if, certain behaviors in a victim's life or lifestyle are different than, than someone else's, it's only important if it relates to the motive, right?
True.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you, Jeremy, as far as
and just remember that all of their devices are being analyzed. Everything possible. It's an open book. You're going to go back a decade within social media to find out what is there.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they've done it to Jeremy.
Yeah.
Not law enforcement.
Culture is so true. That's true.
Yeah.
And I've never had, I'm not big on Twitter. I've never had, many things on Twitter, but the post I put up was basically like, why are people being doxxed? And why, if you find something and you send a tip in, why are you putting it on Twitter?
Right.
I told the person I wrote that to, I basically said, delete that. As long as you tipped it in, delete. It shouldn't be, there's no reason you should be doing that on Twitter. Right. If you actually find something that has merit, there's no reason at all to be doing that. But that's just the way it is,
Jeremy, was surprising to you, was that when, you first, kind of, realized that people were, coming up with Facebook posts you put out in, 2012?
Sorry, what was the question about the post?
How surprising was that? Were you just kind of what the F? Or, because I'm sure you weren't thinking about that or prepared for that kind of, when all of a sudden people were like, oh, he hunted in 2012. So, I mean, how surprising was that to you?
It was kind of definitely kind of surprising, because I had basically, the only reason I'd still have my Facebook account is just because I have other stuff linked to it. Otherwise, I would have just deleted it back when I basically deleted all my other social media. And so because I was just purely keeping it because it was linked to other things, I went through and deleted as much as I could find on it, just to basically make it as bare of a profile as possible. And clearly Facebook didn't let me delete everything because stuff was still up, which kind of annoying that they won't let you go back and find all that stuff, because I tried. But yeah, I thought at that point I had deleted everything from my profile other than my profile picture, basically, just because otherwise I would have just deleted my whole Facebook account. And that was back in 2021, I think, is when I did that.
Okay.
Early 2021.
So to be clear, everyone, that was not after the murders. He did not go and delete things from his Facebook after the murders.
Well, I mean, he's in, right? I mean, he's in law school. He doesn't want. Right. I mean, look at what's happening with this. People go into your past and try and find things.
And then sadly, if you were if you delete your Facebook now, Jeremy, people are going to be like, he's deleted his Facebook. It's suspicious. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, I
hate that for you, but
Jeremy, no. This one says the cops have not aggressively questioned all neighbors. First of all, they're not going to aggressively question the neighbors. They're going to knock. You're going to knock on the door and just say, "Hey, did you hear anything between these hours? Were you out during the day on Saturday? Did you encounter anybody in the area? You're just canvassing the area for what somebody initially could have seen. There's no reason to aggressively question neighbors. That's not really going to get you anywhere. To just come out and be aggressive with the neighbors. You want them to help you and see if anybody was a witness to anything.
Yeah, and aggressively questioning is just going to make them shut down.
Of course. Listen, I have gotten so much from people from just being nice. There's times to be nasty, but when you're nice to people, they let their guard down.
I think there's a whole saying about that, CD.
Yeah.
Honey, bees.
What is it?
Like you can catch more bees with honey than
Oh yeah, it's true. Very true. So many family members and friends whose lives now are destroyed because of one sick person. Yeah, absolutely. And the two surviving girls, they're going to go through. They're going through their own hell.
Yeah. And they're also hearing all of this stuff that goes on online. So, they're hearing about like, oh, it could be this person. It could be this person. Because they're getting people messaging them with their thoughts, Not
Why are you entertaining this guy? He is an actor. What does that even mean, pure blood? He's a neighbor that...
Are you talking about me?
No, they're not. He's a neighbor that lives right there and is able to give us a lot of insight on the area around the house where the murders were. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
No reason to be
I wish
nasty.
I was an actor. I'd be making good money. I tell you what.
What kind of law are you going into, Jeremy? Or are you because at this point, have you thought about criminal?
It's funny. Pretty much everyone has asked me that.
Have they?
Currently, I'm trying to get into tax law, just low income tax, just so I can help all those people either save or recover as much as possible. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to shoot for family law. And then if that doesn't work, then I'm going criminal.
Yeah.
And so currently criminal law is my third option, or my third on my list.
Do you think tax law will be boring, or you think it's something that you like? You like analyzing numbers and that kind of stuff?
I was told by an undergrad professor that it was super boring, but in my tax classes that I've taken, I've really enjoyed it. I found it interesting, and it's incredibly applicable day to day, just with everything you do, not just April 15th.
Yeah, no. Listen, corporate stuff, and it's all year. There's a very busy season, but I believe it's much different for somebody who's doing law with taxes.
I own my own business, and I can attest to the fact that if you know anything about tax law, I commend you, because I have to pay someone a lot of money to take care of that all for me.
Yeah.
But I've heard corporate law is good too. if you don't have a conscience.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can make a lot of money, but you also have to give up all of your morality.
So why, Mike? I totally understand why you want to do tax law. What is your feeling on criminal law? Why is it your third choice? Is it just the way you feel about it, or?
So I originally came into law school thinking tax, because I was like, oh, I'm going to go in to do tax, make a lot of money, and then from there, I'll basically retire early and do a lot of pro bono and just help people out for either really cheap or free.
Yeah.
Then after the first semester, I was like, okay, maybe not. And then I was like, maybe I'll do criminal law. And so that one is useful, but I think with tax, I would be able to make more of an impact just because I would be able to help more people with it. Just because if you can help someone else save a little bit of money, that'll build generation after generation. Because if one kid goes hungry to school, they're going to learn less than a kid that's not hungry. And so if I can help the parents save an extra $10 to get some food, then that's going to help that kid, which is in turn going to help them later. No. So I feel like I could make more of a difference with tax. Same thing with family law. Just helping people sort of split up any assets so that any sort of like children or anything don't have to go through like a brutal divorce, or at least make it as simple as possible, at least legally, and because what the parents do is their own business. But I feel like I could make more of a difference doing those than criminal law, because with criminal law, I probably could be a prosecutor. I don't know if I have the personality for it necessarily.
You don't need a certain personality to be a prosecutor. You know, some
Yeah.
of the best prosecutors are quiet in nature, but are savages in the courtroom. You know, and that's where you want to turn it on. You know.
Yeah, I think it's more of the fact that a lot of stuff is currently illegal that I don't think should be. I think that's where it would be harder for me to be a prosecutor.
Yeah.
But then again, same thing with being a defense attorney.
That's what I was going to get to. I wanted to hear your feeling on defense, and I think that might be why it's third for you, is you don't want to defend, pieces of shit, in a
Yeah,
sense.
that's exactly it. Like if someone got caught with a drug bust, like, yeah, I'll absolutely defend them. But if someone raped a child or murdered someone, I don't want to defend that person. I think they should be locked up.
Yeah.
And so that's why defense is hard, is because some people, absolutely, it's like, yeah, you shouldn't go to jail. Like you didn't do anything wrong, even though it was technically illegal. Then other people,
it weighs on you. It weighs on you morally, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of lawyers, and some some do criminal law, others do family law. Both of those are tough at they're very stressful in a sense of what you're dealing with daily. So maybe you're making the right decision going tax law is number one.
For everything you just said, Jeremy, I mean, to me, it speaks a lot to your character, and
It does.
Again, I'm impressed by you because for that purpose, because for anyone out there suspecting you of anything nefarious, I mean,
if they just
you
listen.
just talked about
What I'm saying?
going to school,
Yeah.
and not having a lunch. So I mean, is this the kind of personality that you think is going to go do what people have accused you of?
If they just listen to the media only puts out these little clips. He spent an hour and 5 minutes with me 2 days ago, and answered was excellent with his answers, and you can understand who he is by listening. And even today, this I wanted to address because I saw a family member of I don't remember who it was, one of the victims, or somehow was related to one of the victims, address this right here, and why the friend of Jack gave the $6. Supposedly Ethan sent him $6, so he sent Ethan that money back. It was kind of like he wanted to give it back, that exact number back to him.
Yeah.
It was like more of like a respect thing, but people took it as like, oh, he gave 6,666 to, and what that equals. It's crazy how people just assume and create these narratives.
He's the unfortunately that guy is on the he's next on people's list as far as persecuting.
Yeah.
Because they've gone they've gone through people have gone through Jeremy here, they've gone through Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, or they still are, and the fraternity brother of Ethan's is it's every day I'm hearing more and more, and I'm like, I was in a fraternity, I was in college, we didn't have Venmo then, but it would not have at all been uncommon to have to pay one of your fraternity brothers for going to a party, even if it was something nominal like $6. So I mean, to me, there was never any there when it came to that Venmo payment, because I think it's pretty common at this point in day and age. People Venmo each other for everything.
Yeah. So can I just say really quick, pureblood Scottish hooligan, you should stop watching Alex Jones so much.
That's good. I just had to get rid of this person. I think somebody already did. Somebody already handled that. Thank you for whoever mod took care of that. I usually do not block people, and Adam, that. It's just some people are they're just relentless at getting even crazier and crazier. So thank you for whoever took care of that, because we don't need nonsense. Just looking through if there's anything.
Oh, hey, Sonny.
Before he got booted, look at what he's writing.
I've seen and heard and recorded this guy. You need to learn the satanic codes.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently I need to learn a new language. I didn't know the satanic codes was something I could even learn. It's exciting.
I mean, is he saying that, is he saying that we need to learn? I mean, you have something you want to teach us, Jeremy?
I mean, not really. I don't even know the satanic codes yet. I barely know the tax codes.
Trying to catch up to see if there's anything important here.
It's got to be a fascinating life to live if your brain works in the way that person's does. Because
that person, what that person's doing, that person.
Did he freeze
you froze CD.
Oh, there we are. We're back.
Yeah.
We just had a little hiccup. StreamYard did a little hiccup.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
What were you saying, CD?
I don't know. What was I just saying? I thought the stream was going down because it started spinning and spinning. I didn't know what was happening. What was I just saying?
He said you were saying you have people that literally. Because I said it must be.
Oh, yeah. No, that they stay up all night and they're deep in all different kinds of conspiracy theories of the world, and then they don't get sleep, and then they end up here in the chat, and it's all just resonating and coming out of them. Get some sleep, guy. That's all I can tell you.
Exactly.
Get some sleep. You're better off sleeping and resting.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it would not be unheard of that I've stayed up all night looking into things, but it's usually then I'm usually able to use logic to tell myself, this could make sense, this could not make sense. But look, the sun came up. Yeah. I don't know if that guy knows the sun's up or down.
Yeah, it's some scary stuff. You get it's like anything else, but we don't. Oh, Jeremy, somebody asked, what's your favorite YouTube channel? Like, do you? Somebody else asked, like, do you like any of the law channels that are out there?
What's my favorite channel and why is it that one? Yeah. I actually don't watch any like law YouTube channels. Pretty much use YouTube for like gaming related information, and I watch
You're a gamer?
A little bit, yeah. Not as often as I would like to be because of school, but yeah. Then I watch one that's like a news and politics channel just so I can sort of stay up to date with what's happening on a national level. But that's pretty much all I use YouTube for.
Well, yeah, there's a whole thing called, LawTube, which is, all of the law channels that are on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's a new phrase for me. I hadn't heard of it until just a little bit ago.
Has that always been a thing, or is it from like TikTok? Because now everything's like crime talk and
I just always hear it referred to as LawTube, LawTube, gotcha. Like like the whole that's that whole area of YouTube that's all law channels. But
it's a criming shame says, "Hey, Adam, remind me who you are again."
I'm actually Aspen.
Aspen Conner,
and I would be your co. I would be your
Thanks, Gerald.
Star on the channel.
Everybody, please hit the like button because that's just how the algorithm works, and it helps the channel. Helps the channel. Helps us grow. Does it say how many likes we have? Does it tell us? What does it tell us? From my phone, I can only see it says 11.
Mine says 214.
Oh, okay, 214.
And there's 561 right now in chat. So I think I think some people left or we
got
blocked.
A lot of people here. Please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. Subscribe.
So Jeremy, you're in your third year at school? Or second year?
Third year. So okay. I just have one semester left after finals, which starts on Monday.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So campus won't be open because I guess winter break starts in like a week or two right after finals, right?
Yeah, so what is it? The 17th or 18th, whatever day is the Friday in 2 weeks. I guess it would be the 8th or the 16th.
Okay.
That's the last day of classes and finals for this semester. And then some students will stay behind. A lot of them will go home over Christmas break or winter break. And then I think classes begin probably on the 9th of January,
Okay.
maybe the 16th. I don't know. One of those 2 Mondays in January.
So I would assume when classes are not in session, Moscow it can feel a little bit more deserted, correct?
Oh yeah, because I was here over the summer, and it was a lot different. There were a lot less people. It was kind of nice, honestly.
I'm sure. I actually even heard that, because of so many students not coming back after Thanksgiving break, that it's actually impacted even the like a lot of the restaurants and businesses in town that have students that work at their businesses that they don't have coverage. Have you heard anything about that or experienced it?
I don't have the money to go out to eat at restaurants, and so I haven't experienced it. It wouldn't surprise me if they were short, because a lot of college students do get jobs while they work just to help pay for everything.
Okay.
And so I don't know if they just sort of didn't come back and they let the job know, or if they just sort of disappeared and were like, peace out, I'll be back next semester, or what happened.
Jeremy, Miss Dog Lover has a question. Hi, Jeremy. How secure do you feel being in the area where the murders happened now?
I mean, there's a 24/7 police officer stationed basically right outside the apartment, because they're right outside that house. And so probably more secure than a lot of other people would be. Plus, I really doubt the killer would come strike.
Once they do turn the property back over, that'll end though. Nobody will be sitting there anymore. But I'm sure there's still going to be a focused patrol in the area.
You had said the when you went outside just earlier, you said that the police tape was still up, and you said there was a vehicle there. Was it the same? Was it the same type of like vehicle that you've seen over the last 2 weeks? Like as far as like a Moscow Police Department vehicle? Because I know you said it could have been the landlord. So I was just curious if there still was a actual police car or a SUV out there like we've seen in most of the news footage.
Yeah, so there was the SUV parked basically directly in front of the front door.
Okay.
And then over closer to the house next to that was where a truck was parked. And that's the one that might have been the landlord's truck or an FBI agent or something. But yeah, there was still the police vehicle as well.
Can you just take a peek right now just to see if the police vehicle's still there? Because if it's gone, then we'll know that it's been turned back over, even the tape is up.
Right.
And I just want to address this Z character. It looks like this channel is more about growing than looking or talking about the Idaho murder case. Z, I guess you've never watched me before. Yeah. Because that's the furthest from the truth about me.
Yeah. And I would say we've spent, I know that we spent, just you and I spent the first entire hour talking about nothing but Moscow before Jeremy even popped on.
Yeah, no, it's true. But, this is a live streams, and during live streams, you just talk, and, where your conversation goes, you go with it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so police tape is still up. Police vehicle still parked out front. And now there is a bunch of media filming because it's late enough in the day that they're all awake.
Yeah. Well, they probably are hearing the reports that the scene's been turned back over, and they're probably going to check it out.
Yeah, that's true. They're probably like, "Oh, I heard it was turned over," and it's not. Jeremy, have your professors talked about the murders at all?
That first week after it happened, they did. They haven't really talked about it since. Mostly because we had the 1 week of class, and then we went on Thanksgiving break, and then we came back for this week. And so after the Thanksgiving break, there wasn't really a lot to talk about anymore at that point. It was just let the police do what they need to do. Yep, but yeah, that first week, all of the teachers and all the professors Basically, the first thing they did when they got to class was talk about it for the first couple of minutes at least.
Okay.
Um,
Dr. Lipschitz wants to know, did Jeremy hear a dog barking that night?
Negative. I did not hear anything that night.
how reactive is your dog as far as like, so like if like a dog had been barking hypothetically, in a nearby place, because dogs, of course, hearing is a lot more sensitive than ours. I mean, like, is your dog the type of dog that would then react and like start barking as well, or freak out, like, or get nervous out of anxiety from hearing that? Or, I mean, like I said, I know it's hypothetical, but
So normally, if she hears other dogs barking, she will run up to the front window and she'll start barking also. She also does that when people walk by sometimes. Not every time that someone walks by the front, but sometimes she will. But yeah, usually if there would have been a dog barking or something, she would have also started barking.
yeah. And I have a question. I've noticed that at night, and I don't know if you even know this because of the side of the house that your apartment's on, but like at night, every night that I've seen news footage, those string lights on the back patio of 1122 King Road have been on. Were those lights that were typically on every single night, or is that something that's just kind of stayed on since this has happened? Or do you even know what I'm talking about?
I do know the lights you're talking about, but I have no idea.
Okay.
The I saw that side of the house so infrequently that I couldn't tell you because I very, very, very rarely ever went up to that upper parking lot just because it's so far away from where my door is and where I would typically park my car. And so, yeah,
Okay.
I just never saw that side of the house.
Okay. I was just curious because I mean, there's so little light back there that would have been, one of the only lights, that someone would have had, out there if they had been on.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
And then someone asked, did you attend the candlelight vigil last night or Wednesday night?
I did not. Um, I've said it a lot of private messages between people asking if I was going to go. I didn't go because I didn't know the people. I wouldn't know anyone that was at the vigil. And so to me, it would have just felt like I was going to someone in like some other family's funeral, essentially. So it just felt awkward for me to go. So no, I didn't go to it.
Have you ever seen the one? I'm just looking to see if I could see anything about if they announced that they were going to release the scene today or not. But I did hear last night that they were getting ready. They were wrapping up. But did you see the latest press conference where the woman asked the run-on question, but she's asking also if do you think a female was the killer? Have you ever seen that woman around the campus? Because she's not a
Wait,
reporter
this woman?
for yeah, that woman that she was making sure she filmed her question. Jeremy, you know who I'm talking about?
I've seen a photo of her. I haven't actually seen that press conference yet.
I don't know if we can see it. That's her.
Yeah, I've seen the photo of her, but I don't know her. I don't recognize her at least. Um, so yeah, I have no idea who she is.
Because I
I've
did see the other day after it all broke about her that I guess she's on TikTok and she was live and people were asking her and she was like, I never stated that I worked for the Pathfinder or whatever, but who knows? I don't know how she got into the presser. I guess she might have made believe she was part of that or not. I don't know. But you've never seen her like roaming around since the incident.
not that I've noticed at least. Seems like everyone that's at least around the apartment and the house is actual media, not fake media.
Bart, hey, does the community have faith in the police? From what I'm hearing, Bart, they do, and we got to give time, and that's what this case needs. You gotta let them get some of the lab work back and whatnot. There's a lot they're not telling, and there's reasons for it, and that's just the way it is. You know, there's cases where you don't tell everything, and I know the family are hurt, but the family's giving a lot of they're going on a lot of different stations and talking. They don't want a slip up to happen. CD is awesome. He did a live a few days ago, and he was featured on Grizzly Crime. He's awesome. Thank you, CN Red Flags. Appreciate it.
I agree, CN. I've even heard people, say, like there've been, mainstream media, reports that are like, has this case turned cold? And I'm thinking, it's been 19 days. I'm like, Jeremy doesn't, I'm sure knows, but the channel I'm on focuses mainly on the Delphi murders, which were the was a murder of 2 girls in Indiana in 2017. But I'm like, that's been 5.5 years, and I'm like, this has been 19 days. I think it's a little premature to call it a cold case.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Joe Hart, I haven't seen your questions. If you ask again, I'll check it. StreamYard just sometimes it dumps 20 different messages at once, so I am scrolling through and looking.
Right.
But I don't see a question from you.
Joe Hart, again. Just drop it again.
And I have to log off. I have to get ready to leave for class. Then also apparently someone's at my front door. It's probably media. So that's exciting.
Okay. No problem. Jeremy, thanks again, man. I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, thank Jeremy for coming on.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. I appreciate you answering everyone's question.
Everybody spread the word when you see people writing, nasty things. He's been very open the last, the 2 times he's been on here. And he spent, what he spent another hour and a half with us?
Yeah.
So can you guys see the 2 stools jamming the slider shut? Yeah, I've seen the pictures of it.
That's what we talked about that early in the stream about, like most people speculate that and I think, it's a fair speculation to think that, the easiest entrance and exit would have been out of that sliding door. But were those chairs there? Because that kind of puts a stop to the rumor that there was that door. Because how could it have been left open if those bar stools were jammed in the door?
True. I did see them remember the cinder block we keep talking about? I did see them when the I don't know if it was a different crime scene team came on. They were focused a lot on that window.
Yeah.
Again, could have been that the media was there at that time getting film of them doing it then and focusing there. Listen, they're going to go through everything.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. There's a ton of windows. There's doors. The door jam, Was there blood on the front door? We have no. It's so much speculation. That's why
absolutely
it's not even worth going to pieces because we just don't know.
And I'm 100% guilty of. I'm pretty sure for any thought or question anyone in the chat has had in their head, I've had it too. I've probably gone down the rabbit hole. I've probably looked into it. I've had people send me stuff that I'm like, okay, it could be, could not be, but at the end of the day, having to use logic and to me, critical thinking is the absolute best skill you can ever have when it comes to life, but true crime especially, because that's what's able to keep you from being like CD and I are having this conversation now and being that person that was talking about satanic code.
True. If they have a suspect, do you think they would announce that? No. I think that if they had a suspect and they're furthering, if they're lining everything up and getting things ready, they would announce it after they arrested that person. But from what, I believe they've been very straightforward with a lot of things, and with all the confusion of, was it the house targeted? Was, a certain individual targeted? And then going back and forth. I don't know if they really have somebody yet. And it could be that they're waiting for lab work to come back.
Yeah. Because again, it's important to remember, this was a quadruple murder. Using what I'm hearing was probably a singular knife, which means, after killer used that knife on the first victim, they then used it on the other three, which means, one, you're going to be able to forensically tell the order of the killings in that way, because you're going to find I'm assuming you would find DNA presence of the other victims then on.
You definitely would. Yeah, you would have a transfer. Yeah, you definitely.
If you've got one victim that doesn't have any other DNA on them, it's safe to assume they're probably the first victim.
Yep.
And that's even excluding if the killer's DNA was mixed in, which there are rumors that there was a singular cross.
People also say, like, what if there's two killers, and how are they going to know? They're going to know because, say, one went in one room, one went in the other room. The evidence is going to show that, you just have to let everything come together.
And if there are two killers, what are the chances they're going to have identical knives?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, and that's something they can tell.
I forgot to answer that question because I don't know the exact answer. Do you know where the ROTC is on the campus?
I do not.
I don't either.
Nor do I know.
That's something I have to look into. That's something I will look into.
Yeah, nor do I know how big it is. I mean, judging by I'll be stereotypical here, but judging by the demographics of the university and the area, I would suspect it's probably a pretty decent sized RTOC program. But
you think it's peculiar that the ex-boyfriend Jack dyed his hair? We don't believe he did. I think it was lighting.
Yeah, Adam, if you go back and look at the pictures that they're showing that with him and the dog, where it looks like his hair is really dark. There's also a picture of him 2 seconds later in a different frame, where his hair looks light reddish brown. Now his hair is a little darker than it was when the pictures you're seeing of them in their of him in like formal wear. I'm assuming that was like high school prom. So his hair probably has darkened up in 4 years, but it's not dark.
Oh, I see your question. He answered that the other day because he was sleeping. He didn't see anything. So it's more or less he didn't see anybody even days prior that was out of place in the area. So if that helps answer that.
And sadly, that's the thing is there's just so many pieces in this. Like we talked about earlier about your social network being the largest in your life when you're in college, and I mean, this could have been something that happened because of someone that they incurred. One of them or some of them incurred that evening. Could have been someone that was fixated on knowing that it was a college house that girls lived in. It could have been something that happened the night before at a party, or a month ago, or 3 months ago.
And it's just an opinion of mine. I do feel that Halloween party might have something to play, and that's just me looking from the outside. The party was at their house. You never know. My whole thing with law enforcement would be looking to see who was at their most recent parties. Who were the new people that were at the recent parties? Anything was anybody found in one of the rooms in the house that shouldn't have been there? It's all different. There's so many questions that aren't answered, and they won't be for us until things progress.
Well, let me ask you, CD. Like we talked a little bit earlier, but if one singular victim was the target, from a law enforcement standpoint, how big of an anomaly would it have been that they killed 3 other people?
It's hard because it's hard to really say exactly because they're going with they were sleeping,
Right.
So that would mean the killer's entering that room. Now we know it's really 2 rooms. It wasn't 3 rooms.
Right.
It was 2 bedrooms that were entered. Was it a mistake of going in the first room to get to the person they were looking for? Also at the same time, now we know that Maddie and Kaylee were together. More or less, if the other room wasn't entered, you were gonna have 2 victims.
Yeah.
Because there's another person in the bed, but it's so hard. Was it done to cover up that somebody was the target? You know, it could be so many different reasons for it. You know,
Right.
but
And
you know,
that's it.
was one of them, was something done to one of them that wasn't done to the others?
Right.
You
Which
know,
I've heard rumors. I'm sure you have as well.
yeah, I know.
But
You know, we
um,
everybody has.
but they're all conflicting as
Yeah,
well too, because
yeah. They're saying it was one person, it was the other that
yeah.
had, you know, the neck or whatnot. Yeah. Crime Sleuthing, please warn him not to speak to Bullhorn Betty. Bullhorn Betty, I believe,
That.
was with Olivia, and they're two YouTubers that are there in Moscow, and they already interviewed him yesterday.
Oh, I'm not familiar. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of YouTubers, so
Yeah, I just know because, you know, he told me that he spoke to them.
Relic CD was a detective. CD was with the NYPD.
I was in NYPD, then I transferred out of the city to within a county. But who asked that? I didn't see it.
Relic Revo, I believe his
I
name.
started. I got hired with the NYPD in July 2001. I'm a 9/11 first responder.
Sorry, I jumped to the bottom of this.
No,
Of
no,
this, I don't
no.
know where you were, but
I'm at 212. I'm just seeing Sweetie Pie Low. What is that? That's another YouTuber. If they have a suspect, would they say we have a suspect, but we are not naming them at this? No, there's not. I mean, there's really no reason. What's the reason to tell everybody we have a suspect, but we're not naming them?
right.
There's really there's no reason to say it. You know.
And even if they do have a suspect, you know, I mean, five. You know, I'm assuming 4 victims and one. You say there's one killer. You know, if you have 5 DNA, independent samples, you know, they're mixed. That's going to take a while for them to
Plus of how many people are in and out of that house daily. You know.
Right. And I'm just talking about the blood.
Yeah, no, I know. There's just a lot of DNA in there that they have to go through.
Right.
Police said to the family they have 2 in mind. I didn't hear that. You know,
I've not heard that either.
If you could email me, you know, and let me know. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I mean, and I know there's also been rumors that I've read about.
Thank you,
Sarah.
Sarah.
About the. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying thank you to Sarah.
About the about the unconscious 911 call, you know, actually being for one of the surviving roommates who, upon finding one of the victims, ran outside and passed out, and that when EMT entered the house, they didn't know they were walking into a crime scene. So there, you also could have contamination. Not to mention who knows how many people were in that house.
True. But the one good thing that law enforcement did was as soon as they got to the scene and saw, they exited, they locked the scene down, they got a search warrant, and they went in that way. So that definitely helps with some contamination.
Yeah.
You know, it does help a little bit. Yeah, that does help a little bit. But at the same time, it's just a party house like that. It's just, you know, that's why they kept going back in and doing more and you know, getting more samples. They have to make sure they have everything.
Even as of last night, still were. I mean, there was a detective in there, or the night before last, there was a detective in there because you could see them through the blinds, and it looked
they were doing swabs. They were swabbing, like, I think 4 nights ago. They were on the ground swabbing. So that tells you that there was, you know, there's just. Listen, I told you about the double homicide I had where it was the son that murdered his mother and brother. You know, the mother he stabbed, I don't even know how, 20 times. You know, wrapped her up in a rug and stuffed her in the basement in like an old, early 1900 tub, and then waited for his brother to come home and shot him directly in the head with a shotgun as soon as he opened the door. You know, those are scenes. That's why, the initial cop that was on the scene, that's we're human too, and if you don't see stuff like that often, it's going to affect them. And I think the chief said that he was getting some help. It's not easy seeing stuff like this. It's not, and
And especially, I mean, imagine walking in too. I mean, if the speculation is true, and like you're, I mean, you're never going to be prepared to see what they probably walked into. But
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you're responding to one call and you walk in and there's what that house, I'm assuming, I can only imagine looked like.
Yeah.
You're never going to be prepared for that. And then, like the chief of police has said, he has college age children. So, I mean, that adds an entire layer.
Of course.
I don't think, I'm assuming as a parent, you couldn't walk into a scene like that, see people your children's age and not need a minute.
No, I mean, it's gonna take a lot of time to be able to process everything that they saw. Do you believe Nancy Grace that the DNA is back and there's not a match to the database? I don't know who would be leaking that information from within law enforcement. She's, from what I know, she's reputable. I just don't know who would let that out of the bag. So I don't really know.
CD, come on. I mean, you've been around true crime long enough. You know that people will talk, even if they shouldn't.
But the select few that would know that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand.
You're not, everybody in the police station's not going to know everything going on with this case, but it could happen. I mean, yeah, it could happen. I just, I don't know why she would put that out there, even if somebody did give it to her. That's just not something that should have been given out.
I mean, to me, would I be surprised? I mean, I would not be surprised if there is at least some preliminary DNA back. I mean, I've heard that there's a cross match between all 4 victims, which means they have a 5th DNA sample. Like, that could be completely untrue, but I mean, I've heard that as well. But if it also, to me, if the killer is in the age range of the victims, there's a good chance they wouldn't be in the database.
You're not. I mean, you gotta commit a felony in order to end up in the database. So yeah, college age kid. Think of the percentage of college age kids that have felonies against them that have been swabbed for DNA.
I think they're more likely. They would be more likely to come across it through like an ancestry, like a 23andMe or thing like that, because I think more college kids are doing 23andMe than are getting convicted felonies.
True. It's very true. Is it easy to tell the difference between the same type of knife? Well, remember something. Even if it was the same type of knife, each person would swing the knife differently. So by analyzing the wounds and whatnot, you would be able to tell. Even if the same knife was used, you'd be able to tell.
Something I was unaware of actually before this case, and I won't be graphic about it, but I did not realize that the dermis of our bodies or the skin layers of our body were made of lateral and longitudinal lines, basically a lot, and that a lot can be told from the way and angle that things like that could happen and the damage it causes.
And you could also tell if somebody's a lefty or a righty. You could the wounds will tell a lot.
Yeah.
In the city, I can't see somebody staggering around covered in blood. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, is that a scene like this, there's going to be blood. What the hell was that? Door just banged. There's going to be blood, on the killer and stuff, but I never saw them focusing on much of the ground outside, so I don't really know. I didn't see it. But there always could be, blood in, even if they have the shoe print in the house, that you got the shoe print. It doesn't have to be, on the outside either.
And it's not unheard of. It's speculative, of course, but it's not unheard of, for someone to commit a horrendous crime and clean up. I mean, the Golden State Killer would routinely go and drink the beer and eat food out of the refrigerator of the victims that he, had just essayed or killed.
Yeah. bothers me. The is going very quiet. I mean, they were probably told from the first day, do not speak about this.
Right.
What
My,
good is you think about what good is going to come from them talking about it? Just
yeah.
more rumor and information be putting out there, and that's not what law enforcement doesn't want. That
Right. My understanding
and
is that all the fraternities and sororities have all been told that.
yeah, I mean, it's
some
just,
of the sororities I've heard have even hired private security.
that would be smart. You do have a killer on the loose right now. Who's this sixth roommate? I know everybody's focusing on this. 99.9%, it's irrelevant. It's somebody that moved out, but we don't. I'm sure it's a female. We just don't have any info on it. Whoever that sixth roommate is, I'm sure was already interviewed.
Yeah. If it was even a roommate to begin with. I mean,
yeah.
We know that all we know is that there's a sixth name on the lease. I know there are 6 bedrooms, so of course it makes sense there would then be 6 roommates. So I mean, it could have been someone that like moved in, got put on academic probation, and went home, and they still have to pay. They're still on the lease for the year. I mean, they could have had one of the parents' names on the lease so that they could get approved for the apartment.
Yeah, I did see somebody at one of the vigils where she transferred out of U of I to the Boise campus, and she was friends with I think Xana, but she knew the other two from school, from high school or whatnot. So I mean, I'm not going to say it was her. I have no idea, but she was just talking. I think I want to say it might have been. I don't know which one it was, but one of them was like, don't, you have to do what's good for you. So basically, like telling her it's okay that she transferred. So I mean, I don't know.
And you're in the first semester of, I mean, presumably they moved in August or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, it wouldn't be on her. It would not be unlikely that, if she did transfer, how could they fill her bedroom? We're just now at the end of in the beginning of December. So.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, I wouldn't go crazy, of who the sixth roommate is. They're going to know who the roommate is. And they're going to go through that.
Just like people have gone crazy looking through the 2 surviving roommates. Myself included. I mean, I've looked into a million things about both of them.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's doing it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just when people find something that like is relevant, why the hell are you posting it on Twitter?
Right.
Send it to tip line and leave it at that.
You go to Reddit like a normal person. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild out there. It really is. It's wild. It's
I don't know. Did you hear were either of the surviving roommates at the vigil? I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't, but
I didn't see them, and I didn't hear anything if they were or not. I would think that they're probably home and not back at school yet.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I don't know. I would think it would be hard to be around this right now, but you never know. Ed Wallace, I know, was I believe he was a first grade detective with NYPD with the crime scene unit. So yeah, he's very knowledgeable with blood splatter.
What does that mean at first grade?
Like it's the highest that you can become. It's not easy to become a first grade detective. It's not, and it's there's not many of them in the NYPD. So
okay. Oh, I'd heard a term earlier today that I was unfamiliar with, and I need to look more into it. But you might know something more about it. I mean, I know the NYPD is something that uses it, but it's one of the newest things that they use in crime in investigations. It's called 3D memorialization of the scene through laser scanning.
Oh yeah, they use that. Yeah. They laser scan the whole to make the diagrams.
So it's able, they're able to basically then re-examine an entire crime scene.
Yes.
At scale.
Yeah.
Which I found really fascinating.
It is an unbelievable technology. It is, because you have it to the T of the entire room.
Wow. So I wonder if someone like Idaho has that ability or not. But
FBI was there, and the state. I'm sure the FBI has it, because FBI I believe had a mobile lab there.
Yeah, they did.
Where they were just getting it right in. You know,
I just found that technology super fascinating because
it
it makes sense
is.
to me. I just hadn't thought of it.
Press release from police department yesterday stated that they had some lab results back, but they're not going. Yeah, they're not going to, Eddie. They're not going to give too much. You know,
I'm sure they have a
when you're
lot.
going to hear about it is if they make an arrest and have a match. That's that's when you're going to hear it.
Right. Now, if we start hearing about people refusing to give up their DNA, things like that, that's when you can start to kind of like have a little red flag raised in your head. But I've not heard much of that yet.
Yeah. Best piece of security advice to anyone renting or buying a new property: change the locks. So many people don't, and lots of people have keys and code. Yes. I wouldn't just change the lock on your landlord because that could be violating your lease. But I'm sure if you work it out with him, it would. They would. I'm sure work with you that you want to. Usually don't landlords change the locks before having you move in. I think so, but I don't know.
I would say probably a lot less do than you would think.
Yeah.
I think
You got to keep people safe.
I might go change my code now after we're done with this.
You should change your code. You never know.
I did give it to Sunny Justice.
Oh boy. Where is Sunny? She came in and she left us. We've been on for almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
So let's wrap her up.
And I've got another 4 or 5 hours in me tonight at 9:30.
Oh, you're going on tonight?
We've got
to be watching and listening.
Yeah, tonight will be a little different. For anyone that doesn't know, I don't know. For anyone that doesn't know, I have my own channel, which is Aspen Conner, but I also am on the channel. It's a Criming Shame, which normally we focus mainly on the Delphi murders. Tonight's live is actually more of a tribute and donation to a friend of our channels that passed away. We've raised money we're raising money for Christmas for his children. So tonight's stream will be a little different than normal, but yeah, nice. Definitely.
That's very nice.
Check out It's a Criming Shame or Aspen Conner.
If any of the mods could just drop the links in before we close out. And I thank for everybody for hanging with us today. We had a great live. I think we hit like 720 people were here at one time, which was great. I'm happy to have everybody here. Please subscribe to the channel.
Congratulations on 3,000 again. You're like halfway to 4,000 now. By the time I've even gotten to congratulate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I
appreciate that.
I appreciate you, and thank you for asking me to come on.
I'm happy you came. I'm happy
humbled and grateful.
You were willing to come on and hang out. It's appreciated. And I agree. I recently came across CD's channel. He's my favorite true crime channel. Thanks, Jody. Appreciate that.
13's my favorite number, Juror. Good, and you have good taste.
You are welcome, Lisa. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to leave as we exit, I'm going to leave the comments open for maybe like 5 minutes and then close it out. So I will see you tonight. Thanks again.
Thank you, CD.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you
Bye,
guys
everyone.
probably Tuesday next week.